Our guest today is a four-time Emmy Award-winning director of photography whose lens has captured icons from Jerry Seinfeld, Renner, Snoop Dogg, and Martha Stewart. He has helped create the look of comedians in cars getting coffee and has been behind the lens on Netflix #1 hits like Jeffrey Epstein, Filthy Rich, and Martha. Whether it's Mike Tyson in a barber shop or Oprah Winfrey on a world stage, Bill Winters brings stories to life with artistry, precision, and heart. Bill, welcome to the Hotsheet.
Oh, thanks so much for having me. It's a real honor to be here.
Yay. And I know that, I want to thank you also for just willing to be in the spotlight because I know this is not your comfort zone. You're used to being behind the camera, filming everybody else. And here you are sitting in the seat on the hot seat. So we appreciate that.
Oh, my pleasure. It's good to go outside the comfort zone and get in front of the camera. It helps you sympathize with your subjects a bit. Then you can see the world through their eyes, see what it's like to be on camera instead of behind the camera. Because there's just a lot of stuff that comes with being on camera, especially in like documentary world when you're working with folks who aren't movie stars, who aren't used to being on camera.
That's a good point. And you've been practicing that, right? Haven't you been doing some homework?
Oh yeah, yeah, it's fun. I during COVID, we're all locked up in our houses, so I started doing my own little podcast about retro tech. You can see some of it behind me right now. I love like old technology, and I have a bunch of old audio equipment back there, a bunch of old computers. Getting into the old computers are kind of what got me started in the film business as well. So yeah, it's just it's a cool community of folks who love the old retro tech, and it's just nice. Like as a filmmaker, it's cool to have a subject that you're passionate about to make films about. So you don't just make films about films.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
what's it feel like to win an Emmy?
Oh, it's amazing. I mean, it's all different types, but it was so cool because when we got nominated for Hamilton, actually, I got nominated as part of the camera department. um, they flew the camera department. Disney flew the camera department out to LA for the Emmy Awards, and it was definitely one of the best experiences of my life to be out there with the team who I worked side by side with on Hamilton. It was like when you're there and like there's a red carpet and there's like paparazzi and it's like wow. But it's what, to be fair, like I just try and create the best work I can. It's not about awards, but when you do win an award, it does feel good because I've spent my whole career like really investing a lot of time and effort into my craft. So when you get a little bit of recognition, regardless of what it is, it's really nice.
That's cool. That's great.
I love that.
I'm jealous.
Um,
I want one.
actually, speeding, yeah, I mean, you said you're a student of your craft. That is so true because I remember being on a flight with you somewhere. I don't even know where we were going. And I looked over at you and we were all exhausted after shooting, and you were reading like Cinematographer magazine or whatever those magazines are from like front to cover. And I remember I was your camera operator at the time, and I was thinking, oh, wow. Yeah, Bill is in a very different league than me. Like I knew at that moment that you were onto great things and I was definitely not going to be like a big director of photography because you were so invested in all the details and the technical updates, and I just loved that moment because I remember thinking Bill's really dedicated, and you study and learn about your craft all the time.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I just love it. So if cinematography wasn't my profession, it would be my hobby. So I love to just consume everything about cinematography. Cinematography is also a blend of technical and artistic, which I find really cool because I love art, but I also love the tech as well. And the tech is changing so fast. It's literally changing every day. Like new cameras coming out, new lenses, the whole post-production workflow is just changing every day. So I got to keep up. If I want to be relevant, I have to keep up with all the latest technology. But also, I love doing it. I love reading American Cinematographer, reading ICG magazine, reading the blog posts online. There's now like YouTube is awesome, so I watch a lot of YouTube videos, reviews of lenses and new cameras, and just try and keep up with the craft because it's changing all the time. The basics haven't changed. Like the lighting is still extremely important in your camera, your composition and your framing. That's all the most important stuff. But the tech changes so fast. You have to like really keep up with it. And the technology has changed like so much since I got into the business is wild. Like I I remember when I first got into the business, it was like, oh, invest in lights because, lights will never change. That's back when we were using tungsten lights. And now we have like these LED lights
Yeah.
with firmware. You have to like update the firmware on your lights. It's crazy. But it's also awesome because it's the technology, the tools are just so incredible that we have to work with right now. Like I never imagined being able to work with lights where you could just dial in like basically any color you want and not have to worry about gels. It's absolutely it's amazing. I love the technology, and I love the fact that cameras are now basically computers with lenses on them. So it gives you a lot of it takes it it's some in some ways it takes away some of the control. In other ways, it gives you a lot of control if you know how to harness it, because you can have an amazing camera in your house and just like when you're not at work, just dial in your LUTs, play around with all kinds of cool tech stuff. So then when you get onto set, you're prepared and ready to go. But like it gives you a lot of power in your own hands because the technology, I mean, you have a lot of power now. Not only can you like capture the images that you want and have like complete control of it, like with your LUT, but then you can also distribute it yourself on places like YouTube. So it's pretty wild. Like the technology has changed so much.
Do you have a favorite camera right now?
Oh man, my favorite camera is the one that's right for the job. Like I think about how I want it to look, I think about the shots that I need to accomplish, and then I choose the camera based on that, because the camera at the end of the day is just a tool. So I think about like what I want to accomplish, and then I go from there. So I love I mean like the Alexa 35 makes a gorgeous image. It's beautiful. I love the way it renders skin tones. It's got a very filmic quality, especially if you have the right post workflow. And so that one's awesome, but it's a little bit big. I wouldn't want to be handheld with an Alexa 35 all the time. So if I'm going to do like a handheld show, maybe I go for like a Sony Burano. It's got in-camera stabilization, which is really cool if you're going to be handheld. And a lighter weight build with smaller lenses. So it's really just about, all the cameras today look great. It almost, in some ways, it doesn't matter. Like even like inexpensive like $3,000 cameras can look absolutely incredible. It just depends on what's the right tool for the job is.
Yeah. Wow.
I love that answer. And, that is something about our business, is that we've always had to adapt to so many changes, technology changes, format changes, um, all the, from cable to streaming to, like you said, YouTube. So big screens, small screens, iPhone screens, making it all look good on all these different screens. It is a wild ride to adapt all the time.
Oh yeah, the technology is always changing, but there's a lot of change in the industry right now. But also, I think there's a lot of positive change as well. Like when I was in film school, like how did you get people to see your films? You had to like enter it in the film school festival and then hope it does well. And a lot of times you'd be stuck showing it to your friends and family. But now with the power of YouTube, like anyone can become a filmmaker. And you can get like a really huge audience as well. It's amazing. And like the camera technology is so good. You can make stuff on your own that looks really incredible.
What is a director of photography, and how did you get into this business? What was your early start?
Well, a director of photography is the person that is in charge of the look of the film. Like, when you watch a movie, movies look different than each other. And the DP is the one who kind of decides that look, along with the director, of course. But, my role is like the camera angles, the shots, picking the right lens, and the lighting. Those are all really important. And that's the main part of my job. And so I was born back in 1975, and my dad, he was a teacher. He taught radio production and TV production. So back in 75, like the late 70s and early 80s, like it was unheard of to have a camera. People didn't even really know like what home video cameras were. But because my dad taught at the school, he would bring home cameras from school, especially like during the summertime. And he would record me doing stuff. And then one day I got interested. I was like, what is that, Dad? He actually has it on camera. Like the first time I got interested in the camera, and I was asking what all the buttons do. And there's something about the camera that really was attractive to me. I was like, this is cool. I like this instrument. So then I started playing around with the camera, and I got into it, and I loved it. But I never really thought of it, as a career. I always thought I was going to go into computers, go into tech, because that's like a real job.
Yes.
And so first I went away to school. I was thinking maybe I'll go into tech. Maybe I'll go. I didn't know what I was going to do. And I took a photography class, and I really loved it. I actually ran my own computer business at the time. I had a computer consulting business. I would set up networks and like all the local businesses. So I was able to buy like a really cool car. I got this Plymouth Laser, this 1992 Plymouth Laser, because I was doing really well with the computer stuff. And I was like, I want to get a picture of my car. So like I pulled it into the driveway, and it was like a really cool foggy day, and I turned on the lights and the fog lights, and I had like really cool beams of light coming out, and I had my dad's Pentax Spotmatic F 35 millimeter SLR camera, and I took some pictures of it, and they came out really nice. And I showed it to one of my friends who was an amateur photographer, and but he was much older than I was. He was an editor for ABC, and also an amateur photographer. And he's like, like this is a really good shot. Like you have a pretty good eye. Maybe you should take a photography class in school. So I was like, all right, cool. So I took a photography class, and it was really inspiring. I lived in the darkroom. I loved shooting my own black and white film and then developing it. And the teacher gave us some assignments, and I did really well at the assignments. And the teacher was like, you've got a knack for this. Like you can be a professional photographer if you want to be. And I was like, wow, that's cool. That's awesome. Like I would love to be a professional photographer, because I was doing the computer thing and I wasn't really feeling it. I didn't love the office life. I was going into all these offices and cubicles and like really bad, like overhead fluorescent lighting. And I'm like, oh man, I don't know. This isn't really what I want the rest of my life to be like. But like photography, that's cool, man. I get to go out and like work with people and travel. That sounds super fun. But then I was like, oh man, photography is tough. Like I know there's a lot of competition, people shooting like weddings and all kinds of stuff like that. But then I was like, wait a minute, there's credits at the end of movies. So like all these people must have jobs and they get paid to make moving pictures. So I was like, what if I take photography and video and combine it? And that's how I got cinematography, because that's exactly what cinematography is. It's a combination of still images and moving images. They're very, very closely related. So then I was going to my dad's school at the time, Westchester Community College. And I was like, all right, I'm going to go to film school. So I applied to some film schools, and I got into my first choice, which was NYU Film School. And I went there, and I met some incredible people. It was just an absolutely fantastic experience. Sometimes I wish I can go back to those times, but that's how I got my start. And then once I went to NYU, things really took off for me.
Was your dad your teacher then at the community college?
No, the funny thing is I never took my dad's class. I don't know
Okay,
why.
that's
Like, it was just a little bit weird. I was like, I don't know if I
yeah.
want my dad as a teacher. So I took photography classes. My dad taught the TV production and the radio production, so I never took his classes, but I took still photography classes, and I took film. They didn't have like film classes there. They had like film appreciation classes, like film history. And my teacher was amazing. His name was John Coonerberty, and he had two 16 millimeter projectors, and like everything we watched was projected on 16 millimeter. And I saw like that's when I got introduced to like the art films. We watched some really amazing stuff, and he was a big Alfred Hitchcock fan. So we watched tons of Alfred Hitchcock movies, all projected on 16 millimeter. And that's when I really fell in love with the art form. That's when I really discovered like artistic films. And so I didn't take my dad's class, but I did take the photography class and the filmmaking class. I guess I had my dad's class all the time at home.
And then from film school, I know you met a lot of really incredible people at NYU. And then what was your first job?
Yeah, NYU was really cool because I mean, we were just talking before about technology and how like everyone can have an amazing camera right now. Even like, the iPhone looks great if you shoot it well. We didn't have access like that back then. So when I went to NYU, we started shooting on 16 millimeter film with the Arri S camera. And it was really hard because shooting on film is much more difficult than shooting digitally. So I learned how to use a light meter and get exposures. And back then it was like, if you knew how to get an exposure, like you're halfway there. Like nowadays, the people don't even think about exposure. Where you pick up an iPhone or you pick up a digital camera, it even can do it for you if you put it in auto mode. But back then, you literally had to use a light meter. You couldn't see what you're shooting. You're shooting on film. You don't know what you shot until you get the film back from the lab. So it really taught me like how to see the world and how to think and how to translate the real world, onto the camera. And using a light meter and lighting contrast ratios. Like I'm so glad I learned all that in film school, because I still apply it today, even if when I'm shooting on digital, I apply all those same principles to shooting on digital, keeping my contrast ratios consistent and all that. But anyway, it
But
was pretty
wait,
cool because like I went.
to break that down though for the layman, like what does that mean? Like, using a light meter and working with film versus digital and auto and all that. Like if you could sort of break that down a little bit.
when
That'd be
you're shooting
great.
on digital, like today, like you're looking at a screen and like what you see on the screen essentially is exactly what you're recording. But when you shoot on film, you actually can't see what you're recording. You're looking through the lens of the camera, looking at the real world, and the film and what you're exposing is being like put is being exposed to the film, and you can't see what's on the film until the film goes to the lab and gets processed. So you're just kind of have to predict what it's going to look like. So the way you do that is by using a light meter, and the light meter will measure like the amount of light hitting a subject. There's two types of light meters: an incident light meter and a reflective light meter. The incident light meter measures like the amount of light hitting the subject, and the reflective light meter measures the amount of light reflecting off the subject. And once you learn how to use those meters and you learn about quantity of light, uh, that's how you start to set the settings on the camera. So if you're using a film stock that's like very sensitive, like a 500 ASA film stock, you set your light meter to 500 ASA, and it'll tell you like where to put the f-stop on the lens. Essentially, I'm making it very simple, but it's a guide to how you set your exposure, and you hope you get it right, and you'll know when you get the film back. And then once you get used to that, then you can start being more artistic with it, and you can say, okay, I'm going to overexpose this a little bit, underexpose that. That's how you make something like bright and cheery, like a comedy or something that's shot outside in the sun, versus something that's a little bit darker and more mysterious, kind of like the room I'm in now. But nowadays, what you see is what you get. It's so much easier. But having all those principles really helps you achieve even a better image when you have modern tools like we do today.
Well, it's the craft is so much harder. I mean, nowadays, like you said, the technology makes it so much easier just to point and shoot, and there's a craft behind it, and you're a real technician and lighting master. So it's fun to learn about that.
Yeah, the thing is too, like because it is so easy just to get an image on video now, so like it makes a lot of things kind of average. Like when you put more thought and effort into the images that you're creating with the new technology, then that's when you can take it to the next level. That's when you can separate yourself from someone who's just recording versus someone who's making art, who's making a statement with the images that they're creating.
Bill, like just for the people that don't know that are listening, are you the DP, the one setting up the lights? Who does the lighting?
So basically, usually the way it works is I come up with like a lighting plan, and I don't actually set up the lights myself. That's the job of the gaffer and the electric team. I kind of tell them what lights I want to use and where I want to put them. And it's always a collaboration. There are some gappers who just kind of like do exactly what you want. And there are others who are also really great at lighting, and you'll have a discussion with them and they'll bring their own creativity into it as well. So it's very interesting. That's one of the cool things about this business. It's never the same. Like it's always different depending on which gaffer you work with, which director you're working with. Some directors are like, just leave all the visuals to you. Others have a lot of say like on the visuals. So it's always different every time. But yeah, so basically, I decide on the lighting that I want, and then the gaffer helps me bring that to life. The gaffer and the electric team set up the lights, and then the grip team are the ones who cut the light. So let's say you put a big light outside and it spreads everywhere. Then the grips will come and they'll shape the light for you. So okay, no, I only want to hit this wall, and they'll set up things called flags to block it off the parts where you don't want the light. Because if you just blast everything with light, it may not be what you want. And then as far as the shots, I also choose, the shots and the lens and the camera angles. And that's something that I usually work with the director. Like some directors, like I said, they'll know exactly what they want, and others will just kind of be like, here's what's happening, help me figure out how to shoot it. And it also depends whether I'm doing a commercial or a narrative film or a documentary. That it makes a big difference as well as to like what your role is.
Yeah. Wow, that's cool. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, you've had an incredible career working with all kinds of iconic directors and iconic people. But what was your first job? Like how do you build a career and get where you are now?
Let me try and think. Well, my first job, I was actually a camera assistant. And it's a funny story. My uncle is in the construction business, and he was doing construction on a house. And the neighbor to the house that he was doing construction on was like outside watching him do the construction work every day. And my uncle was there working for I don't know, like a couple of weeks. And then when he was just finishing up, the neighbor came over and started asking him questions. He's like, "Yeah, I'm interested in building something in my backyard too. And I saw you doing this. Like, can you give me some tips?" My uncle's like, "Yeah, no problem." Gave him some tips. And my uncle's like, if you don't mind me asking, you've been sitting outside watching me work for 2 weeks. What do you do for a living? And he goes, I'm a director of photography. And my uncle's like, no way. My nephew is graduating from film school like next month, and he wants to be a director of photography. And then I think Bob's response was, oh, great, give me his number so I can exploit him. So anyway, my uncle, he gave him my number, and I got Bob's number. His name, Bob Ruiz, a great DP in New York. And I called up Bob, and Bob's like, yeah, sure. It was like, I could use some help. So Bob and his partner, Harry Clark, they owned an Arri SR3. It was a 16 millimeter camera, as well as some video cameras. And I started working with those guys as a camera PA and then camera assistant. And they taught me so much. So that was like my first job, like in the business, like right out of school. And then my first job as DP is pretty interesting. Film school is great. Like I got so much experience shooting short films, and like we said, learning how to use the camera, learning how to expose film. But the best part about film school, and like the most important part about this business in general, is networking and meeting people. So when I went to NYU, it was the 90s, and Quentin Tarantino, man, he was hot. So everyone wanted to be a director. No one wanted to be a cinematographer, which was really great for me because I got to shoot everyone's films. And then my friend Justin, like he also he wasn't interested in directing. He wanted to be a producer. So after we graduated, I went to work with Bob, camera assisting. Justin went and he got a job at a production company called Radical Media, producing. And he was producing this documentary for Robert Leacock, legendary son of the legendary Ricky Leacock, amazing like documentary filmmaker. And it was about Savion Glover, the tap dancer. And Justin's like, oh, I'm producing this documentary, and Robert needs a second camera person to go shoot the performance of Savion Glover. Do you want to? And they're shooting with these new mini DV cameras, and you're a tech guy, you know how to shoot with that stuff. So do you want to come shoot second camera? So I was like, sure. So I went, met Robert and Justin Wilkes, and we went out to Chicago and we shot Footnotes for Footnotes by Savion Glover. And it was just awesome. It was just so cool that I was like getting flown somewhere to go shoot my first like real job in the business as a camera operator. And it went really, really well. And after that, they said, there's this new TV show that we're doing for ESPN. It's called The Life. This is Radical Media now. And the idea is like we have these brand new, small little digital cameras, these mini DV cameras. And the idea is to like go behind the scenes and, get into the life of a professional athlete, but not just a professional athlete. Like we also want to do like cool, unique stories. It's all based on this column that's in ESPN, the magazine. So like we'll do Shaquille O'Neal, but then we'll also go out to a golf driving range and do a story about the guy who picks up all the golf balls in the cart. And they're like, the whole idea is like really lo-fi. And no one was doing this at the time. Like no one was doing like lo-fi documentary like this at the time. Like everything was like big Betacam cameras or, 16 millimeter Atons. No one was like really using small cameras and being like a fly on the wall and getting like super, super intimate with folks like that. So I started shooting on The Life, and that was my first really big show. It was a very popular show for ESPN, and that's what really kicked off my cinematography career.
Yeah, I remember that series. It was a great series, really good series.
Thanks. Yeah, it was really groundbreaking for the time. It was also one of the first shows to ever use Final Cut Pro. I remember the editor, who's now a great director, Mike Warren, he was meeting like with Apple, and they would come in and help out because Final Cut Pro is still, I don't know if it even had been released yet when we first started, but it was a very, very early version of Final Cut Pro. And it was the whole beginning of this democratization of filmmaking. Like I said, like we were shooting with cameras like Sony PD-150s and XL1s that cost like $5,000, which was like unheard of at the time. Editing with Final Cut Pro, a piece of software that you could have on a home computer. Again, unheard of. Most people were using very expensive Avids at the time. So it was a really groundbreaking show. And again, it was all about the tech, and I love the tech. So I was a good fit for it.
Well, I love what you said about, the job is technical, but it's also about networking and there's a people side to it. And I know that dealing with people is an important task because you can't just show up and be the tech guy. You have to manage people like Jerry Seinfeld. And
Mhm.
and how do you do that? And how did you get the job with Jerry?
Well, I mean, working with people is my favorite part of the job. If when people ask me like, what's your favorite job that you ever did? It's really hard because there are two different there's many different types of jobs. Like there are some jobs that like really fulfill you creatively. You're like, man, I feel so great about that. I'm really proud of the work I did. There's other jobs where, maybe you get paid really well. That's awesome. And then the other part is like that job was a really cool experience because I got to meet some new people, whether they were on my crew or they were the subject that I was working with. The people aspect is probably the most important part to be honest, because you can go to the premiere and that lasts 2 hours, but your real life, like your actual life, is your life on the job. And if you work a lot and you fly all over the world, you get very close to the people you're working with. So uh, I'm really lucky. I got to work with so many great people in my career, like working with all the producers I've worked with, the directors, the crew members. They've all been like so nice, and they've become some of my great friends. Like you're one of them, Jen. So
Oh,
I'm so lucky that I get to work with so many great people. That's my favorite part of the job. Like the cameras are cool, the lighting is cool, like all the stuff is cool, but like the best part is all the awesome people that I've met along the way and I get to work with. So with Jerry Seinfeld is an interesting one. Um, Jerry had a show after Seinfeld called The Marriage Ref, and he was doing a commercial for The Marriage Ref. Because I do, commercials, documentaries, and some narrative work as well. But commercials and documentaries are what I primarily do. And he was doing this promo for the Marriage Ref, and he hired a director that I've worked with before, a Christian, an awesome guy. And it was a crazy concept, for the commercial. It was he and the co-star of the show, The Marriage Rep. They were like all dressed up in their New York City slicker like business suits, but they were out ice fishing in January in Duluth. Because they're just trying to get away. They were trying to get away from their significant others, and they were out there like freezing cold and like -9 degrees, and they're just like sitting there freezing, and they're like, "This is great, isn't it? Oh yeah, this is so much fun. I'm having so much fun." It was a funny concept for a commercial for a show. But it was when the 5D first came out, and the 5D is another technological marvel that revolutionized the filmmaking world. It's basically like it looks like an SLR camera, but it's a digital SLR that can shoot video. And it was an inexpensive camera and gave you like a very beautiful image. Everyone says it was cinematic because it gave you a very shallow depth of field, so it looks like a movie. So it became very, very popular when it came out, and we were going to shoot this on these 5D cameras. And again, like because I was technically savvy, the director hired me because I knew how to use them. So we were out there, on this frozen lake in Duluth, Minnesota, with Jerry, and like he was wearing like really nice dress shoes and like a suit, and it literally was like -9 degrees, and he was really intrigued by the small camera. He's like, wait, it was kind of funny, but he looked at me, he goes, "Bill, like, are you on vacation or something? What kind of camera is that?" And it was funny. So I was like, no, I explained to him what the 5D was, and he's like, "Oh, that was cool." And we shot the promo, and he was really happy with it. It came out great, and that was that. And then I don't know, maybe it was a year later, I get a call from his assistant saying, "Yeah, Jerry's doing this new show, and the idea is that it's a very like low key, fly on the wall type of show, and he wants to use really small cameras, and he remembers that you used the small camera on that Marriage Rough promo." So that's how I got in with comedians in cars getting coffee. Again, the director was the son of a legendary filmmaker, Jojo Pennybaker, and we did all kinds of cool stuff. The GoPros had just come out at the time, so we rigged GoPros in the cars and used the 5D to shoot the show. Actually, my bad. We ended up using the C300, but the idea, Jerry wanted a very fly on the wall type of show. He didn't want the cameras to get in the way of the performance. He just wanted it to be him and whoever his guest was, like hanging out and forgetting about the cameras. So the GoPros in the cars with no car rigs, just GoPros in the cars. And then when we were shooting outside the car, like all the camera operators were just like really far away, long lens, and we predetermined like where they would sit in the diner. I would choose it based on like available light. We didn't light anything either. We chose it based on available light. So Jerry would take the guest into the diner and sit, where we had planned. But that was it. Like everything else was just like fly on the wall, happening in real time. So it made the guests like very comfortable, and he got really great. They're not really performances. He just got really great natural reactions from them, as if they were just hanging out versus performing for cameras. And that's one of the really cool things about the modern technology and how good the quality of these new small cameras are.
I love that. And that is true. Like the smaller cameras, it creates a more intimate experience because you're not It doesn't take a big presence. You don't have lights and all this other stuff. You can just merge with the talent, and they do forget that you're there. So there's a tremendous advantage to the storytelling process with that kind of technology.
Yeah, we picked up. I remember we picked up Alec Baldwin at 30 Rock because he was on. No, it was at his hotel. He was doing the show 30 Rock, and he and Jerry hopped into the car, and they were just going for it, and it was really really funny. And then like we're almost at the coffee shop, and then and Alec goes to Jerry. He's like, "When are we going to start the show?" And Jerry's like, "This is the show. You've been on it." He didn't even realize it. Like he didn't even notice because we had all the camera rigged up with GoPros and stuff, but they were like hidden in the corners. And he's like, "Oh, you got me, Jerry." It was funny. So
So
it was very disarming, and you could be, feel very comfortable and very natural, just just hanging out and not worrying about lights in your face and cameras in your face, that kind of stuff. That's
Cool.
especially good for when you're doing documentaries with folks who aren't used to being on camera. When you're dealing with a movie star like that, they're used to it. But when you're dealing with real real people, not actors, you want to make them feel as comfortable as possible. And then when you start pulling out a big camera or putting some bright lights on their face, they start to get a little intimidated, and you want to try and make them feel as comfortable as possible.
sure. So I know working with celebrities is a big part of your career. Um, but Jerry Seinfeld's a pretty big one. What was it like to work with him? That's kind of cool.
It was really cool. Whenever most of the big celebrities I've worked with have been really nice to me, and they've been like really great experiences. Jerry was awesome. He was super down to earth. The first time I met him, we were shooting out on that frozen lake in Duluth, and they just connected with one of the neighbors because where are you going to eat lunch? It literally was like -9 degrees outside. I'm not exaggerating. It was freezing, and so they were just like, oh, okay, cool. There's a house nearby. We can go have lunch at that house. Obviously, it's all pre-planned, and the folks who own the house like, yeah, sure. And then so lunch came, and like we went into the house to eat lunch, and the people were just like, I can't believe this. Like I'm just like here at my house in Duluth, Minnesota on the lake, and now Jerry Seinfeld's like having lunch in my in my dining room. This is incredible. Like they were just kind of like, what's happening? But he was just so cool and so down to earth that it was just kind of like, oh yeah, it's like this Jerry Seinfeld hanging out in my dining room having lunch. So yeah, it's interesting. But like I love working with all types of people, from regular people to celebrities. I find that when you're working with regular people, the most important thing is to make them feel comfortable because they're not used to being on camera, they're not used to having lights on their face. And when you're working with celebrities, the most important thing is to be confident, so they know that you know what you're doing and they feel safe in your hands. Because they're of course they have to worry about their image and how they're going to look, and you have to show them that you know what you're doing and you're not questioning yourself, and they're going to look as good as possible. So you have to come with a lot of confidence, and then once you do that, then you can win over their respect, and then it becomes a great collaboration. I've been really lucky where, like I said, the celebrities that I've worked with have all been really great. I haven't had any like real negative experiences. Sometimes it's hard because a lot of times the anticipation is the hard part because you're like, oh man, like what are they gonna be like? And a lot of times the people around them get you really nervous, and because they're looking out for the celebrity's best interest, they want to protect them, and they get you really nervous and on edge. And then like once you meet the person, they're like, oh, person's really cool. So it's I'm lucky. I haven't had any like nightmare stories. Like knock on wood. I've had really positive stories, but I try and bring the positivity as well. So like for example, when I got called to do the shoot with Mike Tyson, I mean I grew up watching Mike Tyson fights, and he was an absolute killer. I was a
Yeah,
big Mike
yeah,
Tyson fan. I
yeah.
loved watching Mike fight, but I also I remember him going to jail. I remember him getting into street fights and bar fights, and I was just like, oh man, like I'm going to be working with Mike Tyson. It's a very, very small crew. Like I was nervous. I wasn't, I was nervous. I was like, what's this guy going to be like? And the same thing. I showed up. I showed him respect, and like he knew like I had his best interests in mind, and he was fantastic. He was just awesome. I had such a great time. So you can go into celebrity sheets with all these preconceived notions, but you just kind of have to like put that all aside and just be real with them, and put your preconceived notions aside, and just let it happen right in front of you in real life, because all those preconceived notions, they don't really matter. The only thing that matters is like what happens between you and them on the set.
So Mike Tyson's talking about Mike Tyson. that was a big celebrity moment for me. I was on that shoot with you, and I was your camera operator, and I'm so grateful to have been your camera operator on that shoot because meeting Mike Tyson, I mean, he has this incredible reputation and this big presence, and I like you was anticipating like, "Oh my gosh, what's it gonna be like to meet Mike Tyson?" And I remember he gave me like this huge hug and he was like, "Yay!" And it was like hugging a refrigerator because he's big. His shoulders are very wide. And he was like the sweetest guy ever. And what I found amazing was that he was emotive. Like this guy had incredible emotional intelligence. He would cry on camera. Remember, we were like, "What?" Like it was unexpected. That show was Being Mike Tyson for Fox Sports, amazing show about his sort of post boxing career and how he was trying to readjust and not be this scary guy, but this, this real guy.
Yeah, we the whole concept behind that show was he had like a one man show, like a one man Broadway show where he got up on stage all by himself and kind of like went through his life almost like a PowerPoint presentation, but entertaining because it's Mike Tyson and he's actually a great storyteller. So the idea was that we were going to follow him around the country to all these venues where he was doing his performance, and then meeting friends along the way. Friends being Muhammad Ali, Evander Holyfield, all these incredible people. Like again, it's like I'm really lucky. I've had so many positive experiences. Like I got to go to Muhammad Ali's house and hang out in his living room with him and Mike Tyson not too long before Muhammad passed away, and it's just experiences like that. It's like wow, I pinch myself, and I'm so grateful for all these like incredible experiences that I've had in my career. I'm so grateful for them. I'm so grateful to have those opportunities, and sometimes you can take them for granted because you get caught up in the moment and you're thinking about all the technical stuff and how to shoot it and the lighting and all that stuff. But sometimes you just have to stop and be like, wow, like I'm in Muhammad Ali's living room with Mike Tyson. This is amazing.
That is amazing.
And you're right. Like he was so nice, and Mike Tyson is actually very, very smart. And you can't really judge people by like what you see on TV or what you read online. That's just a very narrow. It's a very small thing that focuses on. You just have to. The way I deal with people is like, oh, okay, cool. There's this person. I'm gonna bring like my best self to them, and we'll see how it goes. I'll treat them with respect that respect I hope they treat me with, and we'll see how it goes. And it usually works.
I also love how positive you are because I remember it was not always easy, Bill. Like when we were on that flight from New York to Vegas, we were flying, we were stuck at JFK, I think it was, or LaGuardia, I'm not sure. But we had an interview with Mike Tyson at like 7 in the morning in Vegas, and we were on a night flight from New York, and there were storms coming in, just rolling in. So the plane kept getting delayed, delayed, delayed. And you're like, I don't feel so good. Like, I don't know. I'm like, well, let's get some food. We have time. We'll get food. We ordered some dinner. You were just not feeling good. And the flights were getting later and later and later. And it was just this like nightmare travel situation. And you weren't feeling well. And we didn't know what was going on or if you should cancel and not even go. Remember that? It was so hard. And we were like, what do we do? What do we do? And then you decided, I've got to forge on. And we landed in Vegas at 6 in the morning, went to the hangar wherever we were, did the lights, did the interview. I've got the beautiful side shot you gave me with the tattoo shot. It was unbelievable. But then you found out later, like why you were sick, right? Like what,
Oh yeah, I had Lyme disease. It was really kicking in, and it was kicking my butt. But it's like I don't know. I guess my parents kind of taught me this too. But like, I'm just like very very motivated, and like when I commit to something, you just gotta see it through. And when I was I had that first job with Bob Rudis, the DP, and those guys are old school, and those producers that they were working for were old school, and they're like the only way you don't show up for a shoot is if you're dead. Like if you don't show up for a shoot, like you better be dead, because if you're not dead, we'll make sure you die. So I don't know. I just have a strong work ethic, and like I just try. I know like if I don't show up, like if I didn't make that shoot, it'd be a big problem. So I didn't want to. It's a big shoot, and if I'm not there, then I don't know how the shoot would happen. So I just try and fight through. You gotta make it happen. You gotta be there when you're supposed to be there. But Um, yeah, and plus, like, I don't want to let anybody down, and I knew that if I wasn't able to make it to the job, I would let everyone down. So I didn't want to let anyone down. I just like champ it out and like, let's do it. Of course, I wouldn't want to put anyone else in danger. Like if I had like the flu or something, I don't know. I wouldn't want to put anyone else in. Nothing's gonna stop me. Like, I'll walk there if I have to. I don't care. This is a great opportunity, and I love my job so much. Like I'm just so. It's not to me. It's not even a job. Like it's just fun. It's an awesome opportunity, and I would never let anything stop me.
Show must go on, right? Like,
The show must go on, right?
that's right. That's right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I was gonna say, so
It's
you had,
interesting though, that change,
yeah,
it just messed with my mind because in my brain, I was just like, if I can, if I can get out of bed, I'm going to work.
yeah. You had Lyme disease?
The Lyme disease is from mountain biking, right? From up in the woods in upstate New
Yeah,
York?
yeah, yeah. So I was doing some mountain biking, and I live just north of New York City in Westchester County, and it's like ground zero for Lyme disease and ticks. It's really gnarly. So uh, if you go outside your house, even if you're just like working in the yard, it's very very easy to come in contact with a tick. And when the ticks bite you, some of them carry Lyme disease and there's other tick-borne diseases, like I was saying, like Ehrlichia, babesiosa, something like that is called. And man, it's really really nasty. It's a horrible virus that you get, and you don't even really know. I didn't even really know I had it. My doctor was just he was fantastic. He was just kind of like, because you get like, it's weird. It kind of comes on slowly, and you just start not feeling yourself. It's not like when you get sick and oh, yeah, I have a running nose, that kind of thing. It's like it just kind of comes on slowly, and like then all of a sudden like your muscles start to hurt. It's hard to move. It actually affects your mood. Depression really kicks in. I remember like the second time I got it or third time I got it, it was during COVID, and I was already kind of bummed out to begin with because life was rough during that time, and we weren't allowed to work, and I was feeling pretty bad. And then I got the Lyme disease, and like the depression kicked in. It was like wow, it was really really brutal. So Lyme disease is nasty, and I'm very very in tune with Lyme disease, and I'm very careful about ticks, and I always check myself, make sure I don't get bit anymore. Fortunately, knock on wood, I haven't had it since then. So, but it's nasty, and some people get it really bad. I'm lucky, like they caught it early enough where the antibiotics were able to put it into remission or get rid of it for me. But some folks, man, it really does some horrible damage to some people. I'm lucky that my doctor caught it early
Well,
enough.
they're tiny little ticks, right? So they're hard to find, right?
Yeah, you can't. I didn't even see him. Like, yeah, the third time I got it, I had like it was interesting. I had a rash on my arm, and I thought I got like poison ivy because it felt like it was itchy. And I went to the urgent care, and I was like, but I knew I kind of, it was the third time I had it, so I kind of knew the symptoms. And I was like, this is weird. Like I feel like I have Lyme disease. And they looked at it because oh, that's right, I couldn't move my shoulder. Like I was like, it was really weird. It felt like I broke my collarbone, but I didn't. And I went to the urgent care. I'm like, yeah, I got this rash on my arm, and I think I have Lyme disease. And the person at the urgent care is like, no, 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 you don't have Lyme disease. You just gotta go see an orthopedist, and then this rash will go away. And I'm like, I didn't really like that answer. I'm like, I don't think I need to see an orthopedist. Like I didn't do anything to my shoulder. I just been sitting around during lockdown. I'm like, doesn't sound right. I'm like, I really think I've got Lyme disease. This is bad. I'm like, can you please test me? And she's like, no, no, you don't have it. I'm like, please, just give me the test. So I took the Lyme disease test, and sure enough, I had it. I know what it feels like. I had it, and they got me on the antibiotics right away. And like 2 days later, I was already feeling like $1 million. But
Wow.
Lyme disease, yeah, it's gnarly. It's really hard to detect too. Like I said, my doctor was just on it because he knew I would go in the woods a lot for mountain biking. So he was like, oh, he goes into the woods a lot. Some of his symptoms are kind of like Lyme disease symptoms. So he had me tested, and now I know what it's like. But it sneaks up on you slowly. So sometimes you're just not feeling right, or you're not getting the good sleep, and you don't really put two and two together. It just kind of creeps up on you. But fortunately, I'm healthy as a horse now.
Yay.
If horses are healthy, I guess I assume they're healthy. Yeah.
Well, talk about getting better. Let's talk about Jeremy Renner and your Renovation show on Disney. I know that was a fun show for you and technical and kind of personal, and would love to kind of talk. And Jeremy Renner just seems like such a cool guy. I'd love to meet him.
That was a really cool show. Like I said, the most important part of my job and the most important part of my career are like the great people that I get to work with. And my friend Zach Merck, who's become like one of my best friends, he was the director of that show. So he's the one that got me on. And I didn't know Jeremy Renner. I was a big fan of his. Like I love The Hurt Locker. And I really respect like his acting a lot. So I was like, oh, this is cool. I get to work with Jeremy Renner. But I didn't know much about him personally. He does like tons of community outreach. And he also like he loves to collect vehicles, like all kinds of like weird vehicles. Like he collects fire trucks. He collects like government decommissioned like government vehicles, like the little cars that people use to like collect tolls and all kinds of like crazy vehicles. So the whole concept of this show was he was going to take these some of these vehicles that he's collected and use them for good. So, for example, he got this old truck. He got this old truck that he converted into like a dance studio, and he donated it to a place in Mexico where the kids don't have families, so they could like go to this truck and like hang out and have a good time. And then he got a bus for the Boys and Girls Club of Reno, Nevada, which is where one of his main bases is. And he made it for them because like art was taken out of their schools, so he made it into like an arts and crafts bus where kids could like go into this bus and they had like 3D printers and they had paints and they had pens and they could do all kinds of cool arts and crafts. And on the outside, he put like a basketball hoop and a soccer net. So it was really it was all for a good cause. And I really learned a lot about Jeremy. He was really fun to work with, a super great guy, very professional, and it was just awesome to be part of a project where it was actually like affecting people in the real world. It wasn't just something that was made for the screen; like it was actually having an impact on the kids in these communities in real life. So that was super cool. The show was challenging because there was like a lot. We were shooting we're shooting Jeremy and his team like do construction, do work on these buses, converting them from like regular buses into like an art bus. There was another one for there was like a tour bus that he built for this group in Chicago. It was for young kids like who want to become musicians. So he made it into like a recording studio. So we're shooting like in this enormous warehouse with these 4 huge buses. And I remember it was like, wow, this is a lot to light. This is a huge warehouse, and we have to light this huge space. So with limited resources, and I love doing that. I love challenges. I love trying to create like a big look with limited resources, because to light this huge warehouse, it was just absolutely massive. Like the amount of light needed to light this whole space was really hard. So we had to come up with creative ways where we could like light it and still stay within like a reasonable budget. And we also need to be able to move around a lot. Again, Zach is really good at working with like real people, not actors. So even though Jeremy is a movie star, all the people who he was working with, they were just regular people. They were construction workers, they were fabricators, all working on the buses. And so the idea again was to kind of keep the cameras like further away and make them feel as comfortable as possible. So when you do that, there's a lot of planning involved. So Zach is a master of choosing. He knows like where to put cameras to capture all the action. So Zach and I would come up with like a plan, like where are we going to put the cameras so we capture everything and we don't miss anything. And I was thinking about, okay, how do we light it so we can like basically move around anywhere. People can go in all these different spots and they're not out of the light. So there was just a lot of planning involved with that. And it was cool. It was kind of like an extension of another show I did with Zach called 20 Somethings on Netflix. That was another one where we had a bunch of young 20-year-olds. They had just come out of COVID and they moved to Austin to find themselves. And they were living in these 2 houses. There was like the boys' house and the girls' house. And the idea was kind of like it was to capture all these moments naturally. And again, camera like more. The cameras weren't hidden, like they knew they were there, but the camera's far away. Kind of like even with Jerry and Comedians in Cars, the camera's like out of the way and like let things happen in real life. But at the same time, you want to capture it. You still want the visuals to be good. You don't want to just be recording. Like we still put a lot of thought into the visuals. We're like, what if, like, can we capture this show and make it look like an episodic TV show, but at the same time still give them the freedom to be real and interact with each other. We don't know what's going to happen because a lot of stuff is real. Like even like with renovations, like we had an idea of what was going to happen. Okay, they're going to work on the tour bus today. We don't know exactly what's going to happen. Like when they're in there with the saws, so maybe they saw the wrong thing, or maybe something falls off, or maybe someone gets an idea on how to solve a problem and they have to go over to the other fabrication machine or the other saw to make it work. And we have to be ready to capture all that. There's no like stop, wait for us kind of situation. Like no, like they're doing things in real time, and we want to capture it in the most visually, I'll use the word cinematic way possible. So it still looks good to the audience watching on TV. It doesn't look like it's just something that's recorded, like a hidden camera spy show. Like this, like we want to actually still look like a real produced like episodic TV show, but yet it's real people, not actors, and they're actually doing like real things. It's not set up just for the cameras.
When you did Renovations, was this before Jeremy's horrible accident or after?
Yeah, it was. We finished not too long before his accident, and I'll never forget that. That was crazy. That accident was insane. I was like, when I heard about it, I was like, oh no, not Jeremy. But it
So
made
what
total sense
happened?
because he loves collecting vehicles and he loves machinery. So the fact that he was on a snowcat, helping people in the community like plow themselves out, I'm like, of course, like that's Jeremy. And that's all. Like I'm not surprised when I heard that. It makes total sense. On a snowcat, like operating a snowcat. Thank God he had them at his house. It was and it really hit home, especially since I just worked with him. I was just blown away, and I got to know like his circle of friends. So I was in communication with them, asking how he's doing, and I was in communication with Zach because Zach became good friends with Jeremy as well during the show. So Zach had some close ties to him, so I was checking in with Zach to see how Jeremy was doing. It was really scary, and his his comeback from that accident is just it's so inspiring. If you can come back from something like that, it's I don't know, it's very inspirational. It makes your problems seem minuscule compared to his. I don't know exactly how it all happened, but he was plowing some snow. He was in a snowcat, so it had, those cats like the treads, and he got out of the vehicle. And when he got out of the vehicle, he got caught in the treads as the vehicle was moving forward a little bit, and it ran him over. So it was super scary, and he was like within, if things had just gone like an inch to the left, he probably would have died. He probably would have been killed. But he was a bit of luck. Like he was lucky that the cat went a certain way, and he was lucky that he had people around him who could help. And he's also just incredibly strong, and the incredible like will to heal himself and to get better. It's like I said, it's very very inspiring. I'm so glad he's all right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a
that
serious
was
situation.
When you're on when you're dealing with all this big machinery, I guess dangerous. Like I said, my uncles are in the construction business, and they deal with machines like that all the time, like bucket loaders and backhoes. And sometimes you take it for granted. You're just on there operating the machine. But it's like, well, wait a minute, this is a dangerous machine. Even though like if when you're driving a car, you kind of take it for granted. Your senses are down a bit, your guard is down, and then all of a sudden, like if you get into a little fender bender, it's like, whoa, okay, wow, this is this is a very powerful machine that I'm operating. And yeah, it's scary. You realize how small you are. Like I can't believe that he got run over by that thing and managed to live. It's
that's
unbelievable, and managed to get back to good health like he is now. That's just the amount of will is unbelievable.
yeah, I remember reading about it like in it, all it was in every magazine. It was a big deal. And he would post about his recovery but I think he broke like I mean so many bones and he just it was a terrible, terrible accident. And he seemed to handle it with grace and come back strong and I think he's back to acting now, right?
Yeah, he is. And I think the other thing that helped him out a lot too is I met the people like in his inner circle, and he had like an amazing support group. He's got a great family, he's got great friends, and that really, I'm sure that helped him a lot. And he knew he wanted to get better like for them, and they encouraged him to get better. So having a good support group, a great support group, makes a big difference.
Absolutely. Um so Jeremy, Jerry, you work with all these guys, but I think, one thing that also, I mean, I'm so impressed with your career and everything that you've done, Bill. It's really fun to have seen you grow over these years and become this, big DP now. I love it. But one of my favorite things about your career is that you are one of few people that have filmed both Snoop Dogg and Martha, um, the weirdest best buddies on the planet, but you know them both pretty well. So, when did you shoot with Snoop Dogg?
I was working with you, Jen, on a show called Back of the Shop. That was with our good friend Andrew Freed, and it was a really cool show about like hanging out in the back of a barber shop. And again, it's one of these shows where it was kind of multiple cameras, fly on the wall, one lighting setup, don't change it, and just let people act naturally. So Snoop was was one of the guests on that show. I think he might have been on the episode with Gronkowski from the Patriots. That was pretty cool. They would take all these people from different walks of life and put them together in the back of the shop. It was a really cool show. And so yeah, Snoop was super cool. He was a very, very nice guy. He's very normal, very like down to earth, and he he was an absolute pleasure to work with. Treated everyone with respect, came up, shook everyone's hand before we started shooting, made you all feel comfortable. That's another thing you asked about the celebrities too. A lot of them are really good at making you feel comfortable as well, because someone, big like Snoop, sometimes you can be like a little intimidated, and he just came right up, introduced himself, and he's like, "Oh, we're all good, like this is gonna be great." And then once you get over that hump, it gives you can relax and just do your job. And that happened to me too. Like sometimes when I work like celebrities, that's cool. But for me, like my celebrities are other filmmakers. My celebrities are like directors and cinematographers. So like I'll never forget like the first time I worked with Jonathan Demme, I was really nervous. Declan Quinn, amazing cinematographer, brought me on to work with Jonathan Demme. And I saw Silence of the Lambs like when I was a kid in high school. And I was like, he won the Oscar, and I love that movie. And now like here I am shooting for Jonathan Demme. Like Declan sent me out to go shoot some stuff with him, and I was just like, I was pretty nervous. I'm not gonna lie. And Jonathan Demme turns to me and he's like, "How do you want to shoot this?" And I'm like, "How do I want to shoot it? Like you're Jonathan Demme, you tell me." But he just like he gave me so much like power, and he's like, "No," he's like in his brain, he was like, "You're here because I like your work." And so it's like just do your thing. And then all of a sudden I was like, "Oh wow, that's cool." And then I just do my thing, and he made me feel really comfortable. And same thing with like Snoop and a lot of these big celebrities. You just do your thing. Just they give you when they give you the power just to do what you do well, then and you can focus on that. That's the key.
I love that. I loved Back in the Shop, on
That's
Fox
fun.
Sports. It was
Yeah.
unbelievable. We're in a barber shop in the Bronx, and just with every single sports celebrity on the planet, from Big Papi to, I don't know, there's some basketball players that were like 7 feet tall, and they were just there to kind of shoot the shit and hang out, and it was just like, wow, I felt truly like in awe of all these people, and that it was such a casual conversation between them, and just the vibe of the barbershop was so chill and cool, and everybody was just joking around, and it didn't matter what they were talking about. It was just fun banter with those guys. I
I,
absolutely loved that show.
I think they had fun too.
They
They-
did, because
Yeah,
no,
they're just hanging out.
all they had to do was hang out and talk and joke around and get their hair cut and get a shave. It was unbelievable.
It
How
was a
many
cool mix.
seasons did that
Like
go
it
on
wasn't
for?
like just football players talking to football players or just basketball players talking to basketball players. It was like a cool cross section of different types of celebrities. Snoop Dogg, amazing, musical artist there, hanging out with Gronkowski, amazing athlete, with like a hip hop artist, or yeah, I don't remember who was there. They were Big Poppy. It was cool. It was a really cool idea for a show.
How many seasons they get out of that?
I don't remember. I don't remember.
I don't know.
I
I
don't
think it
remember.
went to HBO. I think it was
Mm.
originated on Fox Sports, and then it moved to HBO. Um, I don't remember how many seasons.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
it was cool. That barbershop was really awesome too, right there in the shadows of Yankee Stadium. I'll never forget the mango guy next door. I used to, even after that show was over, I used to go back there just to get those mangoes. They were really good. The guy selling the mangoes, oh, they were so good. Those Haitian mangoes, woof, so good.
That's funny.
Oh, that's awesome. And so, and then Martha Stewart, like, um, but I don't think they were friends yet then. I mean, I love their besties, that it's just so funny to me. So how did you end up working with RJ Cutler, the director for Martha, and the Martha doc that's out on the Netflix and nominated for an Emmy? Right? Nominated?
It's nominated for two, I think. Yeah, not I think it's nominated for two Emmys. Best, I forgot. May have to edit this out. I think it's nominated for best documentary and a best writing. I think you have to check that. But it's nominated for two Emmys.
Amazing. So yeah, how
Um,
did you get in with RJ Cutler, another iconic director, and Martha, the most iconic person on the planet?
It's funny. It's the same thing like with Jonathan Demme. Like, I'm a huge RJ Cutler fan. When I saw the September issue, I was like, oh man, like I love this director. I love his films. And then I watched The War Room, and I love documentaries, and I was a big RJ fan. I was working on this cool show for my buddy Pete McCoubry called Deer, and RJ was the executive producer on it, and it had to do with a lot of celebrity interviews. And it was a really cool show. I did well in those celebrity interviews. RJ liked the look of them. And I shot another piece for Vanity Fair with Lin-Manuel Miranda, and I did this cool thing where we took the key light. It was a study in light, and we took the key light and we put the key light on a dolly, and like in the shot, we would move the key light as we were talking to Lin, and you would get different looks because there would be like a very dramatic side light, and then the camera would come around and be like more frontal, and then it would keep going around and almost become like a backlight. And RJ saw that, and he really liked that technique. So we were doing a show. He was doing a show called Big Vape about Jewel, and he wanted to do something similar with the subjects in Jewel, where we moved the key light, and he also liked the way I photograph people. So I shot Big Vape for him. I shot all the interviews in the show Big Vape, and he just took a liking to my work, and he liked working with me. So when he got the call from Martha, he asked me to shoot the big Martha Stewart interview, which was again, that's another situation where it's kind of like she's like almost like a Mike Tyson, right? I was like, wow, Martha Stewart. I've heard her reputation precedes her. She has quite the reputation. I was like, I don't know, this is gonna be interesting. But then I just went in with my same approach that I usually that I go into like every shoot with. I'm like, I'm just gonna do the best I can, and I'm going to make the person in front of the camera feel comfortable. I'm gonna, they're gonna know that I've got their best interests in mind, and they're gonna see that like I have my act together and I know what I'm doing, and I'm gonna hopefully like win them over, and they're gonna have confidence in me. So that's exactly what I did with Martha. It was really interesting, right? Because we went into this interview, and we were shooting at her house up in Maine. It's an amazing house, and we're trying to figure out like where to shoot the interview. And there's this one room that she is like her favorite room, and for a good reason. It's a beautiful room with like tons of natural daylight coming in, and it was the right room to shoot it in. But it was also a little bit scary because we were interviewing her for 4 days. Like, so over the course of 4 days, the idea was I had to keep the lighting and the shots consistent. So you could take something from like the begin, like day one, and intercut it with the day four, and not have a jump. And normally, like most people don't want to shoot an interview like in a room with windows, especially if it's a long interview, especially if it's an interview going over 4 days, because the light's going to change. Like the sun's going to go in and out. You might get a rainy day, you might get a sunny day, the sun might go behind a cloud. But I knew this was going to be like a challenging room to shoot in, but it was the right room, and the natural daylight was the key part of the room. So it wasn't the kind of situation where I didn't want to like wimp out and shoot it in a room that didn't look as good just because it didn't have windows. And I knew that if we shot in that room, I had to embrace the natural light. We didn't have enough lighting power to just completely relight the room. You can't really compete with the sun. So I had to work with the sun and work with our own lights to keep the look consistent over 4 days. And it was a challenge, but it was also, I love challenges. That's what the fun part is of the job. I love being challenged and coming up with solutions. So my plan worked, and I got a little bit of luck as well. What I did was I looked at the way the sun was moving, and it was a good choice because the windows kind of, they faced south, so the sun was kind of always coming in. It was kind of started camera left and came around camera right. So I was like, I looked on the, before we started shooting the interview, the days before, we had the tech scout, and I looked, and I did a sun path, and I saw the way the sun enters the room. And I knew like at certain parts of the day, like in the morning, it would hit like this really beautiful flower bouquet. It would hit it directly with some hard light. Then as the day went on, it would hit some items in the background with the hard light. So I was like, okay, in order to keep this looking consistent, I need to hit those objects with the hard light, because the sun's going to hit them with hard light, and then the sun's going to go away, and there's not going to be hard light on them anymore. So if I hit all those areas of the room that the sun hits with artificial lights, then when the sun's not hitting them, it'll still look like the sun is hitting them because we have artificial light on it. And so we put lights outside, shooting in through the windows to hit some of those points. We lit from the inside to make some hot spots in the room to keep those hot spots consistent. And then I put lights outside as well to like light the trees that were outside the window. That was really important too, because I wanted to look like the sun was always hitting the trees. So we put artificial lights outside to light the trees. So even when the sun like went behind a cloud, it would still give the illusion that the sun was hitting the trees outside, and it still gave the illusion that the sun was coming in through the windows, hitting with those hot spots. So that was like my general approach to lighting the space. And then when it came time to light Martha, I wanted her to look as good as possible. Like I wanted her to look natural. I didn't want it to look fake, like some photoshopped magazine cover. I wanted to look natural, but I still wanted her to look good and feel comfortable at the same time, because she was going to be sitting in that chair for 4 days, being interviewed for 4 to 8 hours a day. So she had to be comfortable as well. So lit her with a lot of soft light, that wrapped around her face and filled in all the shadows. That was my general approach, try and keep the lighting as consistent as possible, even when it's not really consistent because the sun's going to move. You have to give it the illusion that it's consistent.
Wow, I love all of the thought that's going into that because I think, that type of show, it's a biography, and so it's interview driven. That's the main part of the story that's driving the story, and everything else is archive footage and whatnot. So that interview is the show. Like that's it, and that's on you. And it's Martha Stewart, and she's familiar with the camera. So you said she was interviewed for 4 days.
Yeah.
How many hours a day was she sitting in that chair? Like, what was the schedule?
And the schedule, basically, we had like 8 hours slotted for it, but it just kind of RJ is a master at interviewing and making people feel comfortable and like getting the best out of them. So there would basically be a morning session and an afternoon session, and he would talk to her in the morning, then would take a break for lunch, and then talk to her again in the afternoon. And like how late it went, it just kind of depended on everyone's energy. If things were going well and she still had energy, like they would go longer. There was one day when she was getting a little bit tired, so we just stopped a little bit earlier. But it was several hours. There was there was like a multi-hour morning session and a multi-hour afternoon session. It's hard. It's hard to sit in a chair that long, and I didn't talk about all these like intimate details of your life. It's really, really hard. I don't know. She's incredible. Martha Stewart is very inspiring. Again, preconceived notions. You all probably know like what her reputation is. So I was like, oh boy, this is going to be tough. And to be honest, it was tough. Like she is tough to work with, but in a good way. She's tough to work with because she's a perfectionist, pushes everyone to do 110, not even 110%. She pushes everyone to 200% all the time. So it's in some ways it's uncomfortable because like, it's hard. It's hard to like do 200% all the time, but that's what she demands of you, and that's what she demands of herself as well. Like she's a perfectionist, and she pushes everyone who she works with to like 200%, and she pushes herself to 200% as well, and that's why she's so successful. That's what it takes to be the first self-made female billionaire, and to lose it all and then to get it back again. So it's hard. Like it's like when you go to the gym, if you just take 5 pounds and if you take like a 5-pound dumbbell and go like this, like it's easy, but you're not going to grow, right? If you all of a sudden pick up like heavyweight and you push yourself, it's not comfortable, but that's when all the growth happens. So when with Martha, it's like, okay, this is hard. Like she's pushing us really, really hard, but you know what? That's why we're going to get good material, because she pushes everyone to do their best, and you become better. It's awesome.
How did she push you guys?
She well, first of all, it's her expectations. Like Martha knows what's good. She knows what looks good. She knows what makes her look good. And so you're like, wow, I really have to bring my best, because she knows like if you're doing a good job or you're not. So for example, there was we were getting this drone shot of her pool here in Westchester, and I was like, all right, we're gonna shoot it at like 5:15 p.m. The sun's gonna be in a perfect spot. It's gonna be glistening off the water. The drone's going to start down here. It's going to wrap around. It's going to come up and like reveal the whole property. So we're out there. It gets all set up, and it looks great. Drone goes. We get this beautiful shot, and everyone's like happy. Everyone's super, super happy. And then I don't know, like maybe 10 minutes later, her assistant gets a call, and it's Martha on the phone, and she's like, I thought you guys were going to do the pool shot. Like, why didn't you do the pool shot? And she's like, oh yeah, we just did it. It looked great. And then she's like, put Bill on. So I talked to her, and Martha's like, you got the pool shot already? I didn't know you were doing it. And I'm like, yeah, we got it. It looked great. And she's like, were the blueberry martinis out there? And I was like, blueberry martinis? I didn't know anything about blueberry martinis. She's like, no, like the blueberry martinis like have to be out there. You have to shoot it again. So all of a sudden, like her folks brought out these blueberry martinis, and they look incredible, right? And they were, they looked beautiful, and like they were all backlit by the sun and everything. And and Martha was right. The shot looked better with the blueberry martinis. So it's stuff like that where she always takes, like, if you do something really good, she'll always take it and push it a little bit further.
Wow. Blueberry martinis. I don't remember those in the show, but it was a great show, by the way. You did a great job on it, man. It looked great.
It's just all the little details. Like, thank you, but you don't even, all the little details that you don't even notice that she's a master of. She controls, like, every detail. And when you like really focus on everything being perfect and all the details being right and not compromising, that's when you get like an amazing vision like she has.
I mean, what she is accomplished is amazing, and people respect the end result.
Sometimes, you're out there, you're doing your best, but I mean, like, everyone kind of puts it into neutral every now and then, right? But not Martha. She's in overdrive all the time. And that's why sometimes it's hard to work with her, because it's like, wow, like, she's just on another level. She's just always pushing, always, striving for perfection, like nonstop. She never puts it into neutral. So that's why sometimes it's difficult. But like I said, that's what also pushes you to do your best.
And she's 83 years old, right?
I think she was 83. I think she's a little bit older now, but she's yeah, that's the other thing too, is she looks amazing. She's physically fit. She gets out, if her crew goes home and the lawn they didn't finish mowing the lawn, like, she'll get on the mower and she'll mow the lawn.
Wow,
Like,
wow.
that's the other thing too, is like, she leads by example. Like, for me, it was fine, like, that she was, demanding, because she put the same demands on herself, and she doesn't just like tell people to do things. Like, she'll roll up her sleeves and get dirty and do the things herself. So she leads by example. And when I see a leader like that, then that's someone who I want to work with, even though at times it can be hard. But I know that they're not just coming at it from, they're not like just up on a hill ordering people around. They're actually in it with you, pushing themselves just as hard as they're pushing you.
That's
That.
great.
Were there any big surprises or shocking moments during the interview? Because the show itself has like tons of fun, sassy Martha moments. um, some great one-liners. Was there anything that was stood out for you, or shocking, or kind of surprising to you?
No, I mean, it was all pretty much in, all the surprising stuff was in the movie. They did a really good job, because when you shoot an interview over the course of 4 days, there's going to be a lot of stuff left on the editing room floor. And that's a real talent of RJ, how he was able to, he really like captured like all the most important parts of the interview, and weaved it into a compelling story. So most of the stuff that you see on the screen, like, that is the most shocking stuff. Like, when when she was talking about having the affair on her honeymoon, not the affair, but the kiss in the church on the honeymoon, I was like, wow, that's something else. And and the way RJ challenged her, I was like, okay, cool. Like, he pushed back a bit, because Martha Stewart is she's iconic, just iconic celebrity. I can't even imagine what it's like to try and interview her. But RJ did an amazing job. Again, he won her respect, and he when it came time to dig a little deeper, he dug a little deeper, and he got some really amazing stories out of her.
It was so enjoyable. There were so many funny things when she, her post-divorce, she was dating a lot of guys, and she's like, they asked, how I felt, and, whatever. I didn't care. I didn't care how they felt. I just cared about what they were doing. What's their action? It was so funny.
Yeah, she's on another level. Like, what, even in some ways, it made me feel bad in a way, because I'm like, wow, it's like, I understand why she's the first self-made female billionaire. Like, I don't have that in me. Like, I couldn't be that. She's just on another level. And some of these celebrities I've worked with, I'm just like, wow, like, they're just on another level. Like, it's like, she's just very, very unique. I think there's maybe a handful of people on that level who've ever existed.
So, I
She's just
mean,
on another level. She's very inspirational. She inspires me.
so besides the perfection part, like, I mean, everybody wants to know what's it like to be a billionaire, and she's obviously driven and strives for perfection. But what else? What else would you say about her that that's what it takes to be a billionaire?
It seemed to me that she was always working. Like, she never took her foot off the pedal. Like, hey, Snoop was calling her while she was, with us, to talk about their new business. She was always, talking to the folks who work with her about the next project, about the next thing they were doing. Like she was so driven and so like on point with all of her businesses. I was like, wow, she never takes the foot off the pedal at all. Whether she's doing this documentary or she's working on her own business, there's something about the drive and the vision. There's something about the drive. A lot of these folks who make it big, like Martha, they have a vision and they don't really compromise. They don't let other people discourage them. Like I feel like they just know that the idea they have in their head is going to work, and they do whatever it takes to get there.
Amazing. So wait, you were there when Snoop Dogg called Martha?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. He called her a bunch of times. It was funny. Oh my God, there's Snoop.
They are
That's
the
great.
most unlikely pair. I love it.
That's great.
Yeah, yeah, and so I learned a lot about her too, uh, just by watching the movie because I wasn't there for the archival stuff, obviously. So when I saw the movie, I was like, oh wow, I learned that. I learned a lot about her in the interview, but then there was a lot about her I didn't know. So I learned a lot by watching the movie too. And even like the Justin Bieber roast, I remember all the stuff when she went to jail. A few of my friends like worked on her TV show, and I remember when all that was going down. And I even worked with her many, many years ago as well when she just got out of prison. But all the stuff like with Snoop and the Justin Bieber roast, that some of that was definitely new to me. The kiss in the cathedral, that was all new to me. So it was kind of interesting to watch a show that you worked on and learn stuff as a viewer besides as a filmmaker.
The roast was unbelievable. I kind of forgot about the roast, and then I saw it again. I'm like, she's so gangster. I love it.
I know. She's the original influencer. She
Yeah, she really is.
Yeah,
But
and she's able to like think on her feet as well. A lot of folks, like I'm impressed with people who can be in a situation and just think on their feet and adapt so quickly. Like comedians can do that. When a comedian works the crowd, I'm like, wow, the comedian, they're fast. And Martha at that roast, she was good. Like she really, they were beating up on her during the roast, and then when she got up there, man, she really laid into him. And it was all based on stuff that they were saying that night, so she's just like, she's quick, she's good.
so the show got a lot of, very good ratings, a lot of like, it was like a big splash for young women and they loved it. But Martha went on record to say she hated the film and had all kinds of complaints and reactions to the film. But part of me suspects that that was just a publicity stunt because everything I read the article in the Times where they called her about the film and her reactions were it was all she added new things that you didn't know and it made it more intriguing about the film. It wasn't she didn't comment if you read it, she didn't comment on the things that were in the film necessarily. She commented on the things that were missing in the film, which makes you think she's dropping little Easter eggs for you to follow and that there's more to the story and it creates this intrigue. So I part of me was like, is that just a publicity stunt? Because she's like, the second half was just lazy. That was just lazy. And frankly, jail was a vacation. RJ made such a big deal about it, but it was a vacation. And she just said really funny things that made me think, wait, was she really unhappy with the film or is she just doing the Martha thing and making a bigger deal out of it to get
I
more.
don't know. I'm sure it didn't hurt the ratings.
I loved it. I found it entertaining. And now you guys are nominated for 2 Emmys. When are the Emmys?
They're in September. Yes, the Emmys are in September in LA. So that's very, very exciting and well deserved. Like I said, RJ did an amazing job on that film, and I'm really, really happy for him and the whole team.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Um,
the nominations are for outstanding documentary or nonfiction special and outstanding writing. So those are the 2 nominations for the Emmys this year.
Yeah, it's super. Like when you, like I said before, like when you work really hard and you're really passionate about your craft, it's so nice to get recognition, and it does make a difference. But you can't make films for awards. You have to make them for yourself and make the best film you can. And you want to tell your story the best way possible and the most compelling way possible. And when you do that, then good things will happen, whether it's an award or, you know, lots of people watch it. You just have to, you can't make it for awards. You have to make it to make a good film. And then if you make a good film, then the rest will follow. But it does feel, when you work really hard, it feels great to get some recognition.
On a documentary like that, how many days do you come in, like having a crew like you on site? How many days typically in a project like this does that happen?
It all depends. Like they're all different. I mean, the budget dictates a lot. It depends. It dictates how many days you can shoot, how many shoot days there are. It dictates the post-production schedule. So with Martha, it was definitely heavier on the post side because they had to go through all that archival material. I wasn't a part of that process. So I know it went on for a long time. The shoot wasn't that long. There weren't a ton of shoot days on that project. So I went back and I shot some B-roll as well. But there weren't a ton of shoot days on it. I think it was more heavy on the post side for Martha. And just like crafting 4 days of interviews and all the archival and the animations as well. They were really cool. So there was it all varies. There's other films where they're like pure, verite and living in the moment. And sometimes I'll do a show where there's, 50 shoot days, and that's, or I'll do a show where there's, 10 shoot days. It all varies. When there's a show that's heavy on archival, there's usually fewer shoot days. When there's a show that's not big on archival or post or graphics, and it's just more verite, like 20 somethings or renovations, then there's a lot more shoot days.
Like the industry right now, do you see a trend? I mean, do you see more and more projects having less shoot days? I mean, is that kind of something you're seeing from your end of things? Like, what are some of the trends you're seeing right now, like with the industry?
Yeah, well, I mean, right now it seems like, it's always the case. Like budgets are always getting tighter, crews are getting smaller, cameras are getting smaller. They want a lot more. You have to do a lot more in a day. Per shoot day, there's a lot more getting squeezed out of you. So it's hard. Like right now, the trend is to spend less but still get high quality stuff. So it's hard. Like everyone's under a lot of pressure. The producers, the directors, the crew. It's really hard. But thankfully, we have some of these tools that help us achieve that. You can't. It's hard to shoot on film, with a tight budget because film's expensive. But we have other tools now that allow us to get a lot more bang for the buck. But yeah, in general, like fewer shoot days for sure. Um, Smaller crews. It's definitely it's tough. It's tough. It's the film business, right?
Yeah,
Film is art, but at the end of the day, it's the film business. So a lot of folks, you need to make a living. You need to make as much money as you can as well.
yeah, yeah.
So what's next for you, Bill? Do you have any cool projects on deck, or what are you looking forward to, or what would be your dream project?
Oh yeah, so I mean, I'm really lucky. I'm working on a couple new projects with RJ that are really exciting. I'm working on some more projects with Coon Art Films. They're the folks who did The Thread as well as Becoming Martha Graham. We have a really cool one we're working on with them as well. So I've got some cool documentaries that are in the queue. I got some commercials coming up as well, and over the summer, I met a young filmmaker. And we shot a short film on 16 millimeter. It's called Bliss. Polina Yankowicz was the director, and that was super exciting to see someone really young, in their mid 20s, get excited to shoot on film. And I even had a conversation with her. I'm like, "Are you sure you want to shoot on film? It's gonna like basically be your entire budget if you shoot on video." She's like, "No, like I'm a filmmaker. I want to shoot on film." I'm like, "This is awesome." I'm like, "She's cool." I'm like, "These young filmmakers are cool. I dig them." So that was fun because that was a narrative project. So I'm really excited to see how that one comes out. There is in post right now, and hopefully doing the festival circuit in the fall. So I got a good mix of the narrative and the documentaries in the works, and I'm lucky, man. I'm just lucky, and I'm so thankful for being able to do what I love for a living. They always say that if you do what you love, then you never work a day in your life, and I feel like I've worked hard, but there's a lot of truth to that saying as well. Like I love my job so much. Like I hate not working. That's the worst. That's the worst. Like I know when I go on a shoot, it's going to be hard work, but at the same time, it's going to be like what I love. And I feel like it's the kind of thing like I would be making my own YouTube videos if I wasn't getting paid to do it. I would do it anyway. Like I love filmmaking. I love storytelling. I love telling my own stories. I love bringing other people's stories to life. I love working with people. And I literally, like, as I get older now, and I've been doing it for a lot of years, when I was younger, I kind of took it a little bit more for granted. I didn't realize like how lucky I was to be able to do it. But now, like every time I'm on set, I make it a point to like, let me just take a minute here to like soak it in and just like be grateful that I'm here, like on set, doing something I love, working with great people. And I appreciate every single day of work that I get. And I'm so lucky to be able to do this business and do something that I love and hopefully have a little bit of an impact on the world.
Like, as a technology guy, are you playing with any AI tools? Are you going down that road at all?
I haven't jumped headfirst into the AI, but yeah, I mean, it's very important. Like I have to be up on AI. So yeah, I know the Chat GPT. I've used it before. I've used like Midjourney and AI tools for pre-visualization, which I think is a really great tool for that right now, especially on like commercials, like and doing storyboards. Even we did some AI, the storyboards on the short film. It's an amazing way to really do previs. It's awesome. And I think AI is going to be, it's here. It's a force to be reckoned with, and it's a new tool. Just kind of like like when we were shooting 16mm film, and we're like, wow, this is really hard to shoot film. Then all of a sudden, like the 5D came out, and it's just like, oh man, like it makes it so much easier. I feel like in some ways AI is kind of like that too. Like AI is gonna make things easier, but it's a tool, and I think the people who are true artists are gonna be able to like use that tool and to help them tell their stories like better than they've ever told them before. So I don't know exactly what impact it's going to have on the industry. There definitely jobs are going to technically be lost, or people are going to have to change and adapt to it. But it's a new tool that's here, and so far, like I've enjoyed using it for the previs. I just used it for previs on an upcoming shoot that I have. And yeah, it's pretty wild. So I've scratched the surface of the AI, but there's nothing. I've never like shot a scene for a real show that's AI only.
Yeah.
But I've used it as a tool for previs, and it's worked well for that.
And how do you use that? How does that work?
You can put in everything. You can put in like the camera that you want, like the lens you want to shoot with. You can put a person. You can use something called like lidar technology, and you can scan a room and put them in that room and simulate actually being there. Pretty incredible. You can get really into it with integrate with 3D, and you can start putting up lights as well, seeing how the light is going to react coming in through that window. It's pretty wild.
Yeah, it is a wild tool. It really is. There might even be a day in the future where we can't believe that we used to pack gear around. It's like, oh, we used to take gear and cameras to that place and do that thing. And
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited about it. I understand why people are so afraid of it, because uh, it definitely yeah. I mean, it's definitely probably going to be a game changer in a lot of ways, but yeah, I remember. I love it. I'm like the uncle sitting around on the film set now. Like back in my day, we used to have to put gels on the lights.
yeah.
Back in my day, we used to have to like get a generator. If you had anything bigger than like 1,000 watt, we used to have like 1,000 watt lights, and you have to wait for it to cool before you could pack it up. Oh man! Or I'll be like, oh, back in my day, we didn't have these video village stuff. Only the camera operator knew what was really getting shot.
Yeah.
Some kids are like, no way. I'm like, yeah, and I'm like, you know what? You would shoot with the camera and you couldn't even see what you were shooting. They're like, no way. I'm like, yep. So I feel like that's 25 years from now, that's what people will be saying about the way we're working out. You didn't have AI. Like, how did you do it?
Yeah.
So I don't know exactly how it's going to play out, but it's definitely going to change and be different. But that's exciting too. I wouldn't want things to be the same all the time. It would get boring. Like I'm excited to learn new things. I always want to learn new things. That's what keeps me inspired, keeps me young. I don't want to like I love learning new technology and just and learning new techniques. Like let's bring it on. Let's go. At the end of the day, it's all about telling stories to entertain people. So any tool that's going to help us do that, let's give it a go.
It's an interesting uh, approach, because with AI entering our lives and every aspect of our life, you have to decide how you're going to embrace it. You can either embrace the change and use it to your advantage, or reject it or resist it, or not get comfortable with it. But it's a part of life in every which way. And so I love your attitude that you're just embracing it and using it to your advantage.
Yeah, I think that's all you can do. I mean, there's definitely some with AI. It's different because there's some like ethical issues that come up as well. So that's a whole nother a ball of wax. But like if you're using AI to do some special effects, like I mean, if you're doing like a superhero movie, like everything is shot on a green screen anyway. So is using AI for some of those effects really that bad? I think it's fine as long as long as we all know the rules. Like, okay, like they probably use AI to make the effects here, but it's like when you try and when you use AI and pretend that it's something real, that's a different story. So like when it comes to like documentary, I'm not sure how well AI will integrate with documentary because people are expecting something to be real and authentic. So there's definitely a moral moral issues there. I can't see. I could see AI being used for like maybe like establishing shots, that kind of stuff in documentary. But then it's like it's still not real, like it's still not the same as getting like a real shot of like a city skyline. So we'll see what happens. But I think there should be some kind of like a disclaimer or something like it's not real. I don't know. Do people care? I don't even know. Like I care. But and also
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I think humans will decide. Like if humans decide that they like the AI, then the AI will be successful. If people don't like the AI, if the audience doesn't like the AI, like watching something that's made AI, then that will determine how successful it is. I think at the end of the day, it's the viewers are gonna get the vote. If AI bothers them, it's not gonna go over well. But if they can't tell and they don't care and they like the AI, then AI will be a real big force.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I think it's going to come down to the viewer. Like if the viewer doesn't feel the soul and the emotion from the story, then I just don't see it sticking around. But what's so good right now, I think it's only going to get better, and it's just exponentially get improving every day. I just feel like there's an update every day with all these different platforms. It's a fun
Yeah,
tool. It's a fun tool.
I think they still want humans behind it, right? Because humans are
Yeah.
going to want to see the stories created by humans.
Yeah.
Like so exactly. So if it has a soul, and I don't know, it's a tough one. Maybe one day the AI will get good enough where it can make something that's super entertaining, super emotional, super moving, and if that's the case, then God bless.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, well, we'll see because it keeps improving daily, and we'll see where it goes. But it's an interesting thing. I like the
Yeah, it is,
meter.
like, especially when it comes to, like, art,
Yeah.
right? Because it's so subjective, It's like, let's say, like, you're running, I don't know, if you're running a race, like, it's like, wow, that person, like, ran that race in a record time. That's really an amazing human achievement. But that person finished the race really quick because they were using a golf cart or something. It takes away from it, Like if I beat you in chess, but I had a computer that's helping me like guess the moves. It wouldn't be as impressive if I beat you in chess. So there's a lot of because I had a machine helping me. So there's just a lot of I don't know. It's a very interesting way to integrate a tool into art. That's it's it's very 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 complicated.
Yeah. I was
Any kind
playing
of
around with it the other night with scripting, and like just the latest update from what you got before to the new update on chat, script night and day. It's improved so much from the previous model to this current model. It's and then like you said, get into the ethical things, who owns what, and all those fun things. And uh yeah, so it's a fun
Yeah,
tool.
I've used it. I've
Yeah.
used it to help me with writing. But again, it's the same thing too. Like where I gave it all. I basically wrote. I wrote what I needed to write, but then it just kind of helped me reword things, make things a little clearer, or condense it into a shorter form. So it's been good with writing. Like I said, for previs, it's been pretty helpful. It's still not there. Like for me, it's also probably partly my fault, but I haven't been able to get it to be consistent enough. So that's something that I need to work on, and I'm sure like it will improve as well. It's hard to get consistency from it, but it gets better. It gets better every day, and it's going to be another tool in our toolbox. Hopefully, it doesn't. I don't know. Like, do you still like? So like the computers are better than us at chess. Like they beat us at chess. But does that mean you still don't want to play that? You don't want to play chess anymore?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
like the computer, the computers beat the best human chess player. Like we can't compete. But does
Yeah.
that mean we shouldn't play chess anymore?
Yeah.
I still like
Yeah.
to play chess.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
I know I want my AI to write my hot sheet. That's what I want.
yeah.
So I can go to bed at the same time as the rest of the crew. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah. No, it can be cool. Like I said, like it's
yeah,
been fun playing around with some of these previs tools, and it's cool. Like what if, like lighting concepts might still be the same. Like maybe one day I'll light a scene by sitting at a computer. Like, it won't be the same, obviously, because I won't have that human interaction, won't be like there in real life. But taking an 18K, putting it through a window and having it bounce off different surfaces, like maybe I'll still get some satisfaction out of doing it on the computer versus doing it in real life.
yeah,
I don't know. We'll see. It won't be the same. It'll be different, but maybe there'll be some sort of something that's creatively fulfilling with it as well.
yeah, yeah,
Interesting.
yeah.
So I was just thinking, thinking about, the future and what's in the future. Like what is your favorite film moment to date and what is your future project that you look forward to?
Well, like I said before, when it comes to like my job and my career, like there's different types of jobs. There's ones that are really fulfilling creatively. There are others that are really fulfilling because you maybe make some good money on it, and then there's others where it's all about the experience. And all my favorite projects have all been about the experience, and working with other people who have become great friends and like who I love and respect. So like all my favorite moments in my career are usually like the moments like in between takes or in between shots or like after you wrap when you're hanging out with your fellow crew members or the director or the producers. Those are all my favorite moments. Like all the traveling, I love traveling. I never traveled as a kid. Never even went to Disney World. Like all the traveling was like New Jersey Turnpike down to down to Great Adventure. So like when I got into filmmaking, I was like, wow, like I get to fly, I get to go on a plane, and now I've been literally like all over the world. So that's been my favorite part. There's not like one real specific like moment that I can remember because
Or
I've just
your
had too
favorite
many.
Mike Tyson moment? I know you've got some fun Mike Tyson stories.
The thing that really one of my favorite Mike Tyson moment was like hanging out with him and Muhammad Ali in Muhammad Ali's living room. That was just like a moment where just like, wow, I'm so lucky to be here right now. I also, when we went to the prison that he was in, it was this really interesting, like intimate little moment where he might have ended up saying it on camera, but he said it to me, he's like, man, it feels, he's like, a lot of people think that, going to prison was like the worst thing ever. He's like, but it's actually exactly what I needed at that point in my life. And the warden saved my life because he's like, I actually deserved to be in prison at that point in my life. And it turned me around. So it's like little moments like that when that was just me hanging out with Mike. And that's what he told me. So it's moments like that are pretty special. As well as hanging out. And like some of the folks who I work with, like I've been doing this a long time now. Some of the folks I work with, I've been doing it for like almost 20 years with them now. And like I said, we've grown together. It's been amazing. Like I grew up shooting. I was in my 20s or my mid 20s when I got into the business. Now I just turned 50. So, and I'm still working with a lot of the same people. And so we've literally grown up together, and that's pretty special.
That's
Yeah, that's really cool.
wonderful. And what's your dream future project? If you could work on anything or, what would that be?
I wish I shot Stranger Things because I grew up in the 80s, and that show just like really knocked it out of the park. It's like right up my alley. When I watch that show, I'm like, oh man, that's like myself and my friends riding bikes in our neighborhood. So that would have been like a dream project for me. But maybe something like that. Maybe I would love to work on a documentary that takes me to some more places that I've never been before. And I'd love to shoot like something narrative that like hits close to home for me. Something like a Stranger Things where it taps into my youth, all the 80s nostalgia. That I absolutely I love that show. That's like if I shot Stranger Things, I'd be like, all right, I'm done. So something like that, something like a Stranger Things would be a dream project for me.
I just love your positive attitude about everything as well. It's very inspiring.
Yeah, I mean, you have a choice. Like you can choose to be positive or you can choose to be negative, and it's just a lot easier and a lot more fun to live life when you're positive. I could choose to be like a Debbie Downer, but that's no fun. Then my life would be miserable. I might as well try it and see the best in things because life is tough. Your job can be tough, and if you choose to focus on the positive things, it'll just give you a better quality of life. And thank you so much for having me on your podcast. I feel like I'm not worthy. Like I'm really really honored that you chose me to be on your show. And like I said, I've worked with so many amazing people in my career, and you're one of them, Jen. It's been so great to become your friend. And see, that's the thing too. Like we work together, but then we're like, oh, I'm like, oh, Jen's cool. Like, let's go mountain biking together. So we even, I've become friends with a lot of folks I work with outside of work as well, just because they're great people and we have common interests. Like we all just want to be storytellers. We want to entertain people, and a lot of the same common interests. And so that means that we could be friends outside of work as well. So it's an honor to be on your show, and you inspire me too. All your early mountain biking, you're a pro mountain biker. I'm like, wow, I actually met a real professional mountain biker. It's amazing, and you're amazing. Yes, and you said before you couldn't be, but you're a great DP. You're a great cameraographer. You're a great filmmaker. You're a great director, and that's why I chose to work with you, because I think you're fantastic, and that's the thing too. It's like you surround yourself with people who are great at their jobs or better than you are, and then it makes you look good. So that's why I choose to work with people like you, Jen.
Oh, Bill, I'm flattered. Thank you so much. I've had so much fun traveling the world with you. We've been in some fun places together, and you've always made it a blast. Every time I was like, get to work with Bill, it was like, yes, awesome. We're gonna
Oh, that's the other thing too.
go.
Is like when you do these travel jobs, like they're
Oh
really
yeah.
hard and they're really trying, and there's like so much time off out of work, offset, that you have to, like. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of great DPs out there, but you have to choose people who you want to work with that are fun to work with. That's really important. Who you vibe with. So it's so important, because if you don't vibe with the people you're working with, man, it could be a nightmare. That's only happened to me a couple times, thankfully. I've worked with some folks who I didn't vibe with, and man, that all of a sudden, like, it became a job, and I was like, oh man, I'll never forget driving to that set, like, all bummed out, and like, oh man, this guy's gonna give me a hard time today. Like, I'm not looking forward to it, and that was just the worst feeling ever. So it really, it's like the same job. I'm still setting up lights, and setting up cameras, but I hated it because the person I was working with was a real jerk. So when you have good people to work with, it changes everything. It changes. I'm just lucky that I get to work with so many kind people.
Well, it's true. Like, the days are long on a film set. You're traveling, there's a lot of stress involved with the job and the environment. You're in a hotel and you're not on your schedule and all these kind of things. So your crew becomes your family. It becomes, the people that you spend the most time with and hang out with. And that's how Sean and I became friends too. We did 56 hours of jail TV. So, we were in jail together. And if you can get through jail together, then, you're friends because that's a high stress environment. And I just loved how Sean was just very even keeled about it and level headed. And he also kept a good attitude about it. And, it just makes a difference. And you're like, that's who I want to stick with is, these people that, can show up and not be a bummer to be around.
No, it's so important. It's absolutely essential. I feel like, because you spend so much time with them. I think there were some years when I spent more time with Zach than I do with my own wife. It's wild, and that's the other thing too. Is like it's a hard business, man. You need a really good spouse who goes along with it, because like, oh cool, I'm going away for 4 months. See ya. So my wife's been awesome throughout the whole process, because I met my wife when I was 23 years old. We grew up together as well, so she's been with me, and she stuck with me through all this stuff. It's pretty crazy. It's hard. It's hard to be the one that stays at home when your spouse is going out on all the adventures. Like,
Yeah, how
I'll never
does
forget. It was like 10 years after I was married. Like, my wife went away for the first time without me, and I was home by myself, and I was like, huh. I'm like, this is weird. Meanwhile, I'm like gone all the time, and she's always stuck at home without me. So big kudos to her for dealing with the life of being married to the life of a crazy cinematographer.
so I mean, actually, what is your advice on that? Like you guys have been married 20 something years, been in the business, traveling the world 20 something years. Like that is tough if you're gone for months and you don't have a regular schedule and you're missing date nights and all these kind of things. Like what's the magic formula there? What would you advise other people, you know?
You have to, be with a partner that's on board with that. They have to know what they're getting into. Like my wife, she kind of, she didn't really know what she was getting into, because I didn't really know either, because I hadn't even really started my career yet when we met. But you can't, if you ever, you can't be with someone who is used to like a schedule and a routine, and going to work, 9 to 5. Like, I mean, your partner can do that, sure, but they also have to like understand that you're not going to do that, and they have to be very independent. I think that's the key. You have to be with a partner who's like independent and can do things on their own. because there's going to be a lot of times like when you're not together, they can't be completely dependent on you for their they can't, their whole life can't like revolve around you because you're not going to be there for a lot of it, unfortunately. Um, so yeah, it's I don't really have a secret sauce. There's I got lucky, but there, I guess if there is a secret sauce, it's someone who like understands your situation, is very patient, and wants the best for you. Because I know she stuck with me because she knows how much filmmaking means to me, and there's really nothing else that I could do, and she wants to see me succeed. So that's that, and then when I'm away, she has her own friends that she spends time with. She has her own project. She's also an artist, so she can sympathize with me. She does painting. She's an art teacher. She loves film as well. So she gets it. Like she knows what it means to create art and then create art for other people to enjoy. So she knows that I'm, living my dream and pursuing my passion. And so she, I guess if you love someone, then that's what you do. You support them. It's not easy. I can imagine it's not easy.
Yeah, that's, I mean, wise words, because it definitely takes work to do that. It's not an easy career. It's fun, rewarding, but not an easy career.
No, I guess, and the flip side is sometimes absence makes the heart grow. Grow, right? Sometimes it's good to get away a little bit, and then you come back, and it's like, yay!
You're back. That's amazing.
Yeah, yeah, it's hard.
It's one of the toughest things I think, when we're out with our peers, having those conversations because, it's hard. We all have that challenge.
Like when on a normal job you can talk every night on the phone, or now we have FaceTime, amazing. But like when I was doing something like climbing Kilimanjaro and I had no phone service, then my wife was like a little bit nervous. She's like, I was a little bit worried because I can't talk to you every night. I can't check on you to make sure you're okay. And I've gone to some pretty dangerous places as well. And now having basically you're connected wherever you go now, thanks to the smartphones. But early on in the career, we weren't as connected, so it was harder. Now that we're connected, with FaceTime or any video conferencing or just having cell phone service pretty much anywhere, it's pretty amazing that you can keep in touch. That helps a lot too.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I remember when early on in my career, I used to have a beeper. There's even like a picture of,
Yeah,
of me and
remember
my
the
wife
beepers?
on one of our first dates. I had my beeper on because that's how I would get jobs. And like the first person to return the beep would get the job. So I had my beeper, and I would be like in the camera truck. I have my beeper, and I'd have like a bag of quarters because you have to use payphones.
Yeah,
Some
yeah,
people
yeah,
watching might not know what payphone is, but I would be in the
yeah.
truck. I would scout out like all the payphones, like, all right, there's a payphone on that corner. So I knew as soon as I got the beep, I would just like grab my quarter and like run to the payphone and return the beep, so I would get the job. So it was like now we're just so connected, it's crazy. But back then, like we weren't that connected. It was all about the beeper and the payphone. And then I was an early adopter of the cell phone. I had a Motorola flip phone, and I had 30 minutes talk time per month. But it was a game changer for me because I no longer had to like scout out the nearest payphone. As soon as I got that beep, I was like, bam! I was like on the phone. The job was mine. No one who was using a payphone could compete with my cell phone. my
Yeah.
Motorola flip phone. It was invincible. So I used to get all the jobs once I got that phone.
Yeah, I remember those beepers, man.
Oh yeah, when the beeper came out, it was like that. I guess I had a beeper when I first got into the business. For those who were watching and don't know, like this is like before cell phones. There's like this little device that you would wear, on your belt, and then all of a sudden it would vibrate. When it vibrate, it would just have a phone number on it. It means that person was trying to get in touch with you. Then you would have to find a phone and call that phone number back because you didn't have a phone in your pocket. You'd have to go find a public phone, which is a pay phone that you would put quarters into to make a phone call, or if you were at someone's house, you would use their phone to call that number back. Then when someone wanted to talk to you. And so producers would beep you. But if they had a job, they would just beep a bunch of people, and usually the first person to get back to them got the job.
That's great.
I love it. I mean, guys, I know we talk about pagers and we sound so old school, but it's true. I mean, I remember maps. Remember you'd arrive in a location and you'd have to print out the directions and follow like map quests.
That was the craziest thing.
Yes.
Like I used to, that man, like my tools, like when I was starting out my career, like my main tools were my beeper and my 5-borough atlas because I had to get around New York City, and I literally would be like driving, trying to find a location and like trying to read the atlas at the same time. This is like, wait, like once now with the GPS, I'm like, it's so easy. Like it's, I remember like when the original GPSs came out, like the Garmin's.
Oh,
Like, it was a
yeah.
sign of a good, like, if the PA had, like, programmed in, like, all the locations that you had to get to that day, that was like, "Okay, that's a good PA," because they
Yeah.
planned ahead. Because it actually used to take a long time to, like, type in the address where you had to go, especially if you were on, like, on a location scout, and you had to go to, like, 5 different locations, and, like, the PA didn't have it all typed in already. It was just like, boom, boom. It's like, "Oh, man, alright, this PA is a rookie." But the pros, the good PAs had everything, like, that they had that Garmin dialed in and ready to go. But it was wild. Yeah, I remember maps and beepers and quarters and gels on lights.
I was on a
Right?
shoot, like, not too I mean, I don't know, it wasn't too long ago, and this kid had no idea what a map it was. It was just like, you mean your phone didn't exist? Like, you had to have a paper map, or the Garmin. It's so funny.
Yeah, it was so different. And
So
sometimes
different.
I think back and I'm like, "Wait a minute, like, how did we do it?" Like, just think about all the ways that, think about just calling someone up on the cell phone now. Like, you couldn't do that back then. Like, how did we do it?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I think there was just a lot more planning involved. A lot more planning and a lot less, maybe fewer changes, fewer last-minute changes because you couldn't do it.
Yeah. Anyway, well, we'll see what, what AI comes up with in the future.
Yeah.
How
Yeah, we'll
our
see.
We'll just continue adapting. We'll just keep adapting to all this technology, all these new formats, and
That's all
see
you can
where
do.
but
That's
at the
all
end
you
of the
can do.
day, we're storytellers. It doesn't really matter what format it is, whether it's a podcast or the next greatest Netflix show or your YouTube show. We're storytellers. It's what we do.
Exactly. Yeah, that's it. And like, AI, cameras, microphones are all just tools to help us tell our story.
Yeah.
Storytelling is so important to human nature, right? Even like back when they were just tribes, that's what they used to do. They sit around the fire and tell stories. So I don't think storytelling is going anywhere. It's just the tools that you use to tell the story are going to change, and they'll keep changing forever. The more tools that we have, and the more accessible the tools are, the more cooks that come into the kitchen. So as a DP, it's really important to control, every part of the process, from the pre-production to the actual shooting of it to the post-production, because man, things can really change a lot in post. And it's for me, it's like the old Ansel Adams way. He had 3 books. He had the camera, the negative, and the print, and that's still valid to this day. The camera is like the pre-production, choosing what camera and lenses you're shooting on. The negative is actually like making the image. That's when you're on set lighting it. And then the print is the color grade. And it's so important. You have to control all 3 of those. You have to be part of all 3 of those. And if you're only a part of like 1 or 2 of them, then you're not doing your whole job. And the other people are gonna control your image.
Yeah. How involved are you on each of your jobs in post?
My involvement in post varies from job to job. I try and be as involved as possible. Even if the budget doesn't like allow me to be super involved or go to a grade, I'll just go anyway, because they're my images at the end of the day, and I want them to. I know how I want them to look. I know how I want to tell my story, and you can change so much in post. Some people say, "Oh, they messed it up," or maybe they did mess it up, or maybe their vision was just different than yours. But you're the cinematographer, like, you're in charge of the image. You're the director of photography, so you should see it from beginning all the way till the end. And there's still, even then, there's so many variables. So even if you get the grade exactly the way you want it, not everyone's going to be like watching, on a color calibrated $10,000 monitor. Some people are going to be watching on a TV at home. Some people are going to be watching on their phones. Some people are going to be watching on the computer. So there's still a lot of variables. So that makes it even more important for you to be a part of the process, to make sure like you got it as close as you could to the way people are going to watch it.
And then like a young DP, can they expect to be able to kind of command or demand to be part of the post process, or is that something you kind of got to work into?
Um, no, I mean, I'm sure, I guess if you have more experience, you have a little bit more clout, but I think you just have to be a good DP. You don't have to, it doesn't matter, your age doesn't matter. Like, if you're good and you care about your image, then the producers are going to understand, like, oh, this person's good and they have a vision and they want to see it through to the end. So it doesn't really matter how old you are. If you're good and you have a vision and you're committed to it, then you can get in there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And the young people, if anything, the young people know the technology even better. So why wouldn't they want to be there? I'm good at keeping up with technology. Like, I pride myself in keeping up with all the latest technology. I don't want to get old.
Yeah.
But let's face it, like, but the young kids, like, who grew up with this stuff, man, they're real good at it. I'm sure there's kids out there who are much better at AI than I am. Doesn't mean I don't know how to use it though. I'm doing my best. But they don't have all the experience. Like they've never seen a light meter before, and that gives me a lot of advantages too. So
One of the advantages you have that these kids will probably never have is like when you're writing a prompt on these AI tools, 16:9 ratio. You go as specific as the lens you want, the lighting that you want, and all those terms. You know what the little light gauge, how what those readings are. The more that you can put into the AI, the better and the more exact the image is going to become. And
yeah, the more you know, like where all the tools came from and like why things are a certain way, then the more power you have. The more power you have to be creative. I was just doing a shoot on 16 millimeter with the Arri 416, and I adjusted the shutter angle by literally using an Allen key and physically adjusting the angle of the shutter. And they're like, "Oh, that's what it means to have a shutter." I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, there's actually a shutter in the camera. That's why it's called the shutter.
that's funny.
So it's good. It's good. I'm really happy that I'm glad that I learned how to shoot on film. It just gives me, first of all, it gives me more confidence now because film is making a little bit of a comeback. So when I do have to shoot on film, I have a lot of confidence with it because I know I learned how to shoot on film. And then it also gives me an advantage to people who've never shot on film before, because when you shoot on film, it teaches you how to think and it teaches you how to see. And whether you're shooting film or digital, you still have to think and you still have to see. So if you don't know how to think something through it and see it, and you're just kind of you're just reacting to like what's on a monitor, that's you're not going to be in a good place. Like you have to have a vision in your head and then make that vision happen with the tools that you have, instead of just like reacting to seeing something on a monitor. You have to, and also if something on the monitor doesn't look the way you had it in your head, you have to know how to change things to make it look the way you want it to look. So if you're just reacting to a monitor, like you have to know how to manipulate the image to get it the way you want. You can't just like, if you see something on the monitor and it's not the way you like it, and you don't know how to get it the way you like it, then your vision's gonna be compromised and things aren't gonna be consistent, and it's just gonna be like a big visual salad instead of having a clear vision. It's gonna be a big mix of looks, and it's just gonna be disorienting to the viewer and have no direction.
Yeah.
A visual salad.
Yeah, visual salad. I just throw a little bit of that in there, a little bit of that in there. Yeah, it sounds good.
Well, I mean, one thing that comes through, like your style, you're very clear. Like you have clarity when you show up to a Martha Stewart interview or a Jeremy Renner, warehouse. You look at that scene and break it down and say, okay, I want it to look like this, and you're very clear and decisive about that. Um, are you always like that, or is that something that you grow into, or how do you become clear with that vision?
It definitely comes with experience, but it's really important to be clear with your vision for a couple of reasons. One, I talked about when you work with celebrities, like they want to have make sure that you're confident and like you know what you're doing. So you have to at least go in with a plan. And then when you go in with a plan, you have a direction and a focus. And then if things don't go as planned, sometimes they don't go as planned. Very often happens. At least you can pivot. Whereas if you just kind of show up and you don't have a clear vision and you're just kind of going with the flow, you'll just kind of get pushed around. It'll be a little wishy washy, and the final image will suffer. Like, it won't have a consistency, and it won't have any gravitas behind it. But if you go in with a plan and you know what you want, then if something doesn't go the way that you had planned, at least you have the ability to pivot. Okay, I know we're going to do this, but this looks really cool. We're going to go forward with this look instead. When you go into the plan, it makes it easier to vary from that plan. But if you have no plan and you're just kind of like wishy-washy, it's just not gonna turn out well for you at all. And the talent feels that as well. Like you have to go into the plan and have confidence. And also, there's a lot of like things that go into the prep as well. Like there's a reason for that plan. There's a reason why me and the director choose to have it look a certain way. And that, whether it's a scene and you want visual consistency throughout the whole piece, like there's a reason why you go in with a plan. There's a lot of thought put behind that plan, and you try and make that vision happen. You have to have a vision, and then use the tools to get that vision out to the viewer. You can't just like show up and you can't have a plan. You can't think you know what you want to look like, but not know how to get there. You have to come up with a vision. This is what I want to look like, and this is how I'm gonna get there. And then if the how I'm gonna get there is a little bit different than you expected, you can go the other route, but still get there. Like you want to get from point A to point B, and you have a route in mind. if there's a detour on that route, it's okay as long as you still get to point B.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's important. I think, with some of these productions that have cheaper budgets, um, the planning part gets cut. And they're
Yeah.
like, okay, we're greenlit and you got to do everything like tomorrow or right now. And there's zero planning. And so there's a fair amount of winging it and thinking on your feet in this business as well on certain
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
projects.
that's also exciting too. That's one of the things I like about documentary and verite. It's like sometimes you're just like thrown into a situation that you weren't expecting, and you just have to make the best of that situation, and you have to react to you have to be reactive, react to the situation that you're put into. But it always works out for the best. Like you can react quickly when you had a plan to begin with, and you still have that end goal in mind, and you know how to pivot to still get to that goal. It might not be the same way you were thinking to get to that goal, but you have to, if you think quick and react on your feet, and you know like what direction you want to head in, then you can still get there even if it's a different route. But there's no pre-production and planning is so important. Even if things don't go exactly the way you planned, it's so important just to get into that mindset, to get into that headspace. If you just react all the time without a clear vision, then it's just going to be it's not you're not going to have a clear vision, and that's going to translate to the audience.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
You look at great shows, like you look at great, like one of my favorite shows is Euphoria. I love the way that show looks, and you can tell that they knew what they were doing. That's a show with a very, very clear vision. Like when you see a show that's got a certain look, it just makes, like you can just like be. I know people don't surf through the channels anymore, but if you were surfing through channels and like you could tell, boom, okay, that's Euphoria. I know what that looks like. Boom, okay, that's Stranger Things. I can just tell just by looking at the first frame. I know that film because they put so much thought and effort into their vision, and they had a clear vision.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I mean, it's good to pre-plan and have that, but it's also good to think on your feet too. And in our business, the key word is adaptability. And you don't always get the luxury of planning because it's always dictated by the budget of that particular project.
Sure.
Um, but I find that it's always important that if you have time to plan, you do get a better result. But if you have to think on your feet, you have to trust your instinct and, 80% of the time you might get it right.
Thinking on your feet is a lot of fun too. It keeps it interesting.
Totally.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love it. I love getting thrown into a situation where I wasn't expecting and having to think on your feet. Sometimes you learn from those experiences too. Sometimes there'll be a situation where I get thrown into and I have to think really quick on my feet, and it turned out to be the right decision. And then like next time, like when I'm planning it, I'll remember. I'm like, oh, I really wasn't expecting it to look good. I had to I pivot really fast, but actually looked really good. And now I'm going to plan for that. So sometimes you learn things when you're that are unexpected. You go into a scene, go into a scenario, you go into a situation, and you have to think quick on your feet, and it works out really well. And then you can bank that. And then when you are planning, when you do have the luxury of planning, you can remember that and be like, oh yeah, I remember that time when that worked out really well. Let's do that again.
Totally.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. That's part of the fun too. It keeps it interesting. It keeps it exciting.
And well prepared for the future because you just don't know. You can sort of kind of plan, but you also have to just think on your feet in
Yeah.
life in general, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Bill, one thing I was dying to ask you is I heard you turn Diddy down once or something.
I did. I did. Probably one of the best choices of my entire career and life. It was early on in my career, and I had shot a show called Battlegrounds. It was on MTV. It was a street basketball show, and it was actually Puff Daddy's favorite show. So somehow he found out that I was the one that shot it, and he reached out to me. He's like, Battlegrounds is my favorite show, and I want you to shoot for me. And I was like, this is awesome. I mean, this is like, early 2000s, like peak Diddy. And it was like I was early in my career, and I knew I would get to work with a major celebrity like him and get exposed to like other celebrities. So it was pretty. At first, it was like a pretty enticing job. And then I was asking him like, "What's it for? Like, what's the show?" And there wasn't really a show associated with it. I'm like, "Okay, is it a spec show? Like, what is it?" And then he was just kind of like, "No, man. It's like I just want you to be like my personal cinematographer, and follow me around and shoot stuff. And I was like, I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I was in my head, I was thinking, I'm like, this still sounds cool, like it's Puff Daddy and all, but it's P Diddy. But if it's not a show, like what's gonna happen, with all this footage? And then he was like, yeah, he's like, like I might call you at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I might want to work out, and you gotta come shoot me work out. And I was like, oh man, like I don't live in New York City, like I don't know if I want to be on call like 24/7. This sounds like I don't know. I was like, this sounds like a really hard job. And if it was for a specific show or had an actual purpose, then I probably would have done it. But being that it was just sounded kind of like being, at Diddy's whim, going to shoot personal videos for him whenever he wanted, I ended up deciding not to do the job. And they were kind of shocked when I said no. Like they were like, "Wait, what do you mean you don't want to like be Puff Daddy's like personal cinematographer?" I'm like, "No, man. Like if it was a show or something, if it had a purpose, then I'd be interested." But being that it's just like recording him and not knowing what's going to happen with it and not really having any kind of direction, like I don't think it's the right job for me. And let me tell you, boy, was that like the best choice I ever did, because now I know what I would have been shooting. I would have been, oh man, I've been stressing. Like a couple months ago, I probably would have gotten, called down to appear in court, because I would have been there. I would have been, the guy with the camera, like recording all that craziness. So like, I'm glad for that reason that I turned it down, because and I'm also glad I just wasn't exposed to that, because there's some really gnarly stuff, and especially like when you're young trying to get into the business, like who knows what would have happened. I'm just glad I wasn't exposed to any of that craziness and back then, and I'm very happy, very very happy today. So turning down Puff Daddy was the best decision I think I ever made in my career and in my life. Thank goodness.
Wow.
I just didn't have a good feeling about it. And like I said, if it had a purpose, like if he's like, I'm making the show and it's going to be a really cool show, it's for MTV, you're going to have to like get up and be, on call 24/7, but it's going to be an awesome show. This is what it's going to be. Then I probably would have done it, to be honest. But being that it was just like record me whenever I feel like having you record me, I was like, nah. Thank God I didn't do it. 'Cause now I know what I would have been recording. Who knows what? I mean, there's probably more that didn't come out that I would have been recording. Who knows? I'm glad I don't know. I don't want to know. I don't want to be a part of any of that stuff.
That is so crazy. I mean, but think about it, like your career is built on all these little micro decisions, and that could have been a different path, a different road.
That's so true. Yeah, it is. It's wild how like all those small decisions can, really change the course of your entire career, your entire life. And that one, I just didn't have a good feeling about. I didn't have a good feeling about it, and my instincts were right. Thankfully, I didn't realize how right they were. I mean, I always felt like they were right, because I'm like, what? I'm glad I shoot that thing with Diddy, because nothing ever came of it, and I had a feeling nothing was going to come of it, because there wasn't a show. It was just, or there wasn't a documentary. It was just recording him doing stuff. I'm like,
Well,
all right, cool. He's a major celebrity, but I'm not here just to record people doing stuff. I'm here to tell stories.
but I mean, you knew what you wanted, and that's important, because think about it. You're a young camera guy putting your career together, and he's this big celebrity guy offering a job. Like that would be an easy yes in most scenarios. But you knew what you wanted,
That's true. That's
and
a good way. I never thought about it like that, but that's a good point. And when he first called me, I was like excited. I was like, wow, like I get to shoot for Puff Daddy. This is awesome. Like his music videos were big at the time, and Hype Williams and all that stuff. I was like, this is gonna be great. But then when I found out what the job really was, I was like, I don't know. Thankfully. Oh my God, I can't even imagine.
oh my
I would have been
gosh.
down there in the courthouse testifying. I've been so nervous. I'm not gonna lie. I'm just so glad I wasn't exposed to any of that stuff. I don't want to. I love to have a good time. I love to have fun. I've had some amazing experiences in this business, in this career, but I'm just glad that like nothing like that ever went down. Even even with the whole Epstein thing, I could see how people get roped into that. When I was doing that documentary, like I was nervous. I didn't know who Jeffrey Epstein was, because we started shooting that documentary like way before any of this stuff came out. And I remember like going to his house. Like we didn't go into his house because obviously he wouldn't let us in. But we were like outside the house, like getting shots of the outside of the house. And I'm like covering my face. I'm like, I don't want this guy to know who I am. Like, I don't want to get on this guy's bad side. I didn't know much about him, but all I knew is like I don't want anything to do with this guy. I'm like, I want to stay off this guy's radar. And the director, Lisa, she was bold, man. She like went up and put her business card in his mailbox and like rang the bell and everything. I'm like, wow, Lisa, you're brave. Like, I just want to get the hell out of here. I'm like hiding my face. Like, leave me alone, Jeffrey. I mean no harm. I'm just the camera guy. I'm just the camera guy. But it was, yeah, it's wild.
Wow.
Wow. The
Wow.
situations we get in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, I didn't know who he was back then. That was one of the really fun parts about that documentary, was discovering who he was and uncovering things, because no one knew much about him. The only thing that came out was the Miami Herald article back in, I guess it was 2016 or 2017, that kind of kickstarted the whole thing. She did some really good journalism, and that article came out about the 2006 case when he got the sweetheart deal going to prison, and then he was in a lawsuit with one of the victim / survivor's lawyers, and we were like, let's go down and cover this case because this could get interesting. And there's this rich guy, and he's having this big court case. We want to cover the court. So actually, I can tell you the whole story. See, if you want, I don't know if you want me
Yeah,
to tell you the whole story how I
go
got the
for it.
Epstein job.
That was a big film on Netflix.
Yeah, it got into the top 10 again recently just because of all the news with him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I got a call from a producer I did a lot of work with, and she's like, "Yeah, there's this guy down in Florida. He's really well connected. He's really rich, and there's going to be a court case, like a trial with him in it, and we think there could be something to it. We want to cover the trial." So I was like, "All right, I never really covered a court case before, but they're like, it could go on for 3 weeks. It could go on for 3 months." I'm like, "This sounds great. Like, cool, 3 months of work. Let's go." So I flew down to Florida to record the trial with Jeffrey Epstein and one of the survivors' lawyer. And the night before we were supposed to start shooting the court case, I got the camera all set up. I did all the prep, we had all the cameras set up, did pre-pro. We're going to put the cameras here in the courtroom and everything. And then like the night before we're supposed to start shooting the court case, they came to a deal. And they're like, "There's no court case." They came to a deal. And I was like, I guess I'm out of a job. I'm like, I came down here. I thought I was gonna be here for at least 3 weeks, and now there's no court case. Bummer. But then they were smart, and they're like, "There's more to this guy than we know. Let's do a little investigating." And they're like, "We think there could be a whole show about this guy." And sure enough, there was enough to make a show about that guy.
Wow.
And so it was discover. It was a show of like discovery, because I was learning about Jeffrey Epstein like as we were shooting, and the producers and the director, we were all learning about him as we were shooting, and interviewing more people and uncovering more things. And it just kept getting scarier and scarier. The more we uncovered, and there were more questions, there were a lot more questions that needed to be answered. And it was, but it was scary. I was like, man, when we're outside his house, getting shots of the exterior of the house and stuff, like I knew I was on his camera, and I was like trying to hide my face. Like I'm like, I'm just the camera guy. I didn't want to get on this guy's bad side, because I was like, man, this guy's really scary. But it was powerful. Like we interviewed a lot of the survivors, and it was horrible, hearing their stories. A lot of them, were really afraid to be on camera, because Jeffrey Epstein was like free at that time, and they didn't know like what was going to happen to them. Like if he got wind of them, talking to the Netflix, talking to the cameras, talking to Netflix, I mean, who knows what he was capable of. So we shot a lot of them like canceled at the last minute, understandably so. Some of them we even shot like in disguise, because they weren't, like the old school, like Tony the Tiger, still shot them in silhouette so they couldn't be identified. It was pretty intense. And I was nervous the whole time too. I was like, man, like I really don't want to get on this guy's bad side, because who knows? Like who knows what he's capable of? And yeah, that was definitely one for the record books.
That was Filthy Rich for Netflix. Is that right?
Jeffrey Epstein, Filthy Rich is
Wow.
the final title of it.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's not like we're news. I think there's a certain grace or, like expectation for news crews to show up versus a documentary crew, which is way more intimate and probing than just a news crew capturing the action at the moment. So it's a different process.
Yeah, I'll never forget. It's interesting you mentioned like news. Like nothing against like the news folks. I know a lot of folks who like work in the news, and they're really great people. And like one day I got called to do a shoot at Gracie Mansion in New York City. The mayor was given a talk or something, and I had never shot news before. I just got hired as a freelance, camera operator. and I went down there to shoot at Gracie Mansion, and like one of the camera guys, like his battery died, and he didn't have a battery. So I was like, oh, I got an extra battery. Here we go, no problem. And he was like, oh, thanks so much. You saved the day for me. And I was like, cool. And then like after shoot was over, like the producer, like who was producing like my shoot, got really angry at me. And he's just like, never do that ever again. He's like, you give that guy a battery, and next thing you know, he's gonna be the one standing in front of you blocking your shot. And I was just like, wow. I guess that's news. Like I guess it's competitive, like in documentary and filmmaking, like we all support each other and we're a team and we help each other out. I never thought of it as other crews as like adversaries before, but I guess that's one of the elements of news. You don't want to let the other person get one up you on the story or get a better camera position than you. And I was just like, you know what, this never again. Like this isn't for me. I like to work with people. I love working together with people as a team. Like I don't want to like compete with other people, and I'm not interested in that whole cutthroat thing. So I never did a day of news ever since that day. He
Yeah,
was
that's
really angry too. That producer was like, he's like, don't ever do that again. And I was like, I was trying to help the guy out, man. Like he was in trouble,
oh my gosh. Well, we get ourselves into some really crazy situations, don't we?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Sometimes dangerous.
Oh yeah, yes, for sure. I think now that's one of the good things that's happened in the business. I feel like now safety is prioritized a little bit more than it used to be. Unfortunately, it took some tragedies for that to happen, but now I do feel like things are a little bit safer than when I started. I remember back when I started, like tying into the electricity in a location was something that was very, very common, and now it's like very illegal, thankfully, because it's so dangerous. So things like from tying in to like asking people to do like dangerous things, I feel like safety is becoming a bit more of a priority now. I'm sure there's still there's still some things that are done that aren't too safe, but now people are definitely focused more on safety, because at the end of the day, like that's the most important thing. Like it is only a movie, it's only a documentary. Like keeping everyone safe and healthy and not hurting anybody is the priority, because that's the real life.
Yeah.
We could do a whole episode on safety first and all that.
Yeah.
Maybe we will, because there are some folks out there
Well, it's funny because
dedicated. Yeah.
I say, like Bill said, as where we are in the TV space, there's more and more safety measures in place. But I feel like we're kind of starting all over again on the YouTube creator side of things, right? Like those people are just straight
Yeah, that's a really
Wild
good point.
West.
It's kind of like unregulated, right? On YouTube,
Yeah.
it's just kind of like the Wild West right now. So I'm sure, and on YouTube, it's all about being extreme, right? Getting that click.
Yep.
You want that clickbait.
Yep.
So I'm
Yep.
sure they push the envelope even a little bit further, because they want to do something that's like more outlandish and more crazy and more shocking. So people will click on the video, because that's what it's all about. People will never watch a YouTube video that they don't click on. So you gotta get people to click.
We have an episode dedicated to that, so stay tuned.
Oh, cool. I can't wait to see it. I'm a YouTube
Yeah.
junkie myself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we have
I'm on board, man. I'm on board with the YouTube. I like it. I think it's really cool.
What's your favorite YouTube? What do you watch? What's your go-to? Do you have like 3 or 4 things you like to go to and check out?
Yeah, I like Modern Wisdom. Chris Williamson, Modern Wisdom. He talks about life. Sometimes he has filmmakers on. Sometimes he has doctors on. He's got a really wide range of people. He's very, very, very smart. He actually was like the star of a reality show, Love Island, back in the UK. So it's kind of funny. He comes at it from, he understands production. His podcasts look amazing. Like his cinematographer is great, but he also understands cameras and lighting himself. So it jumped out to me. I was like, wow, this podcast looks good. And that's how I got hooked into it. So then I was like, oh, not only does it look good, but I like a lot what he's talking about. So I like Modern Wisdom. That's one of my favorite ones. I watch a lot of like camera tech YouTube channels. There's some really good ones about people reviewing cameras. I think Gerald Undone is one. I like Gerald. He's a good guy, and he gets real nerdy. With the cameras. I love like the Filmmakers Academy with Shane Hurlbut. That's a great one.
Yep. Yep.
I watch Cook Optics has got a good channel as well. The lens company. There's so many good ones, to be honest. I bounce around between like non-filmmaking YouTube videos and filmmaking YouTube videos, but yeah, I love listening to podcasts and watching YouTube videos. So I'm on board, and it's interesting. Somewhat recently, YouTube surpassed Netflix as the #1 streaming service, like the most viewed streaming service, and I think the gap is only going to get wider. I think YouTube is just going to keep growing and getting bigger.
Yeah.
All the
That's
young
pretty
kids
well.
today, they want to be YouTubers. They don't even
Yeah.
want to be filmmakers or accountants or doctors or lawyers. They all want to be YouTubers and influencers. And I think it's just going to keep getting more popular, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
And
It's more.
I love that like people have a platform now. Like as a filmmaker, when I was, just starting out, man, the fact that you could like make your own little project and put it on YouTube and potentially have millions of people see it, that's mind boggling. Like when
Yeah.
I was coming up, like it was just like friends and family. And then when I went to school, like your classmates who would get to see your work and no one else would see it. Now, like the whole world can be your audience. It's so exciting. I think
Yeah.
it's fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah. As Jen and I were kind of talking and developing this, it was like it just all arrows were pointing to YouTube. All arrows are pointing to create your own stuff, own your own stuff. Because that's the other thing in unscripted space. A lot of people don't realize is we don't get the royalty checks. We don't get that stuff. And so in
That's
this
true.
space, anytime somebody views this, whether it's tomorrow or 10 years from now, we'll see a piece of that pie.
No, and the other thing that's really wild is like it's all about like competing for attention. I mean, and the truth is like the person like who's making a little YouTube show like in their basement, some people are gonna like click on that and watch that instead of like a multi-million-dollar Netflix show. So they're actually in some ways they're actually competing against each other. It's pretty wild.
Oh,
Obviously, like
yeah.
all the craftsmen and stuff, and all the crafts and artists that do incredible work for all these big shows or big documentaries. Like I have so much respect for them, but they are competing against just like essentially an amateur
But
doing
I
something
think
interesting in their basement.
I mean,
It's
I
really
think there's
wild. Like
a
it's totally democratizing.
I
Yeah.
think it's a like a it's a it's an ecosystem or universe that where all these things can thrive, right? You can have, the big, multi-million dollar high-end Hollywood thing and then the lo-fi YouTube thing and all these things can exist. And it's sort of like sports. I mean, I always love sports analogies, but you've got the Olympic athletes who are truly the creme de la creme, the best of the best. But then you've got, the everyday gym goer that enjoys sports too. It's just on a different level. And I think there'll be room for all of these things. I don't, YouTube is not going to ultimately overtake, you know, Netflix or the high-end dramatics of the world. I think they coexist in
Yeah,
different ways.
really well said. I totally agree. It's just it's a new something new,
It's
right?
new.
But
Yeah.
and that it's exciting as well because it just gives people an opportunity to get their message out there that we didn't have before. And it like we're like you said, we're storytellers. So whether I'm shooting that Netflix show that gets like millions of viewers or like a YouTube video that potentially could get millions as well, doesn't matter as long as I'm getting my my message out there and I'm practicing my craft.
Right. It's just the economy of scale is just different, like you're going to get different things for, different prices essentially.
Yeah, but you only have so many hours in a day though, so there'll be some times when come home at night and I'll sit down and be like, I could start watching that Netflix series, or I could just watch a couple quick YouTube videos, and I'll watch a couple quick YouTube videos instead. So,
Yeah.
Netflix could have had my attention, but YouTube got it in that scenario. And
Yeah.
YouTube's also really good at finding things. Like the algorithm is really good at feeding you stuff that you like. So it's pretty cool. Like sometimes a lot of times on YouTube, I'll just kind of look at my homepage and I'll see what it suggests to me, and I'm like, oh wow, it's on point. Whereas with like some of the big streaming services, I'll go seek out a show. Like I'll know I want to watch Stranger Things, but Netflix won't really be able to suggest things to me. So the power of that algorithm to suggest things to you that you really want to watch is pretty incredible.
Bill, it's been so wonderful talking to you and learning about all the tricks in the trade of the craft and all of your great stories filming with iconic directors and iconic people like Martha Stewart. And it's just been so great learning about more about you. And I appreciate your positive attitude towards everything.
Well, thank you both so much for having me on. It's a real honor to be on your podcast. I'm very like humbled and grateful that you chose me to be on it. And I'm also just very thankful for the incredible career and experiences that I've had and getting to work with so many great people. I always just take a moment every day when I'm on set just to reflect and just be grateful for that I'm able to do something that I love, and I've had so many amazing experiences in my life. Yeah, I'm just very grateful to be on the show and to have had a cool career that might be interesting to some people, and hopefully the folks who watch it will get something out of this podcast. Maybe they'll get inspired to go make their own film or shoot their own documentary, or maybe they'll go back and learn how to shoot on film. That'd be cool. So hopefully your audience got some value out of me too. We'll see.
Thank you for your time, and we really appreciate it.
My pleasure. I can't wait to see the other episodes of your podcast as well.